The first high. I think most of us remember our first time inhaling the Zaza, cause for the unlucky few who got hit with that paranoid pack and started bugging out like that Szechuan sauce dude at McDonald's, they probably wrote off the grass as an unholy manifestation of the devil himself. For me, my first high was a truly enlightening moment, as I ain't no dum-dum, so I took the proper precautions to ensure I wasn't gonna be laying on the bed having flashbacks cause my mom came home and wanted me to do some chores or something. But anyway, the first time high experience is different for everybody, but it always starts with the securing of the bag. Now, depending on how old you were and where you live, this part of the first high was either the easiest or the most stressful, because nowadays mofos can go to a damn tree and acquire the holiest and strongest grass in the universe like a damn candy bar, but back in the Wild West, you had to deal with these dudes called plugs. And if you were just a normal kid buying an illegal item from some dude named Spider, it was really scary. Like me and my homies always imagined they'd be all tattooed up, packing heat in every pocket, looking like Mike Tyson when he got out of jail. In reality, they were usually just normal dudes trying to make a quick buck. And also, now that I'm older, I've kind of realized all these plugs with tattoos and nicknames like Scorpion or some shit were literally just wannabe thugs who just listened to a bit too much UK drill and made it their whole personality overnight. But anyway, once you secured the bag, you had to move on to setting the time and place. Now, if you had a friend with his own crib or with parents who frequently left the house unattended, this was easy, but if not, well, that's where a lot of these bad trips happened. Mofos were fiending to get high so bad, a lot of them decided, fuck it, let's just get high at school, or something crazy like that. And let me tell you, you gotta mentally be David Goggins if you get high for the first time at school and don't start tweaking. Even after I had smoked up a good amount, I still didn't consider getting high at school a chill experience. It was a mission every single time. Like, however calm you thought you were, all it took was one...
Mr. C, can you tell me the answer to question 14, please?
Yeah, sure. So, question 14, well, the answer...
Excuse me, Mr. C, are you on something?
Well, shit. Juvie it is, I guess. But hey, I do know dudes who did this for their first and survived. And big props to them, just couldn't be me, and I don't recommend it be you either. Another popular option, which was kind of in the middle, was just getting faded outside at the park on a weekend or something. This was much more chill, but the problem of randoms walking around and the fear of getting an unexpected call from your parents or something was still quite prevalent. Also, another downside, coma is quite easily catchable. So if you puffed on that za for too long, you might have gotten a bad trip because you got glued to the park bench. Speaking of puffing for too long, choosing the amount. Last part, but arguably the most important, is obviously choosing the size of the portion. Now, depending on your friends and if they were heads or not, they could have told you anything from
yeah, man, so a good first hit is this entire 1 gram spliff. Inhale it all and you should feel something.
to
So yeah, this molecule should be enough for your first time. It's got a good amount of atoms in it.
In reality, it's somewhere in the middle, cause being it's your first time, your tolerance doesn't exist yet, so even smelling some premium wood might have gotten you high. Then again, if the stuff wasn't premium, you might have been left disappointed at barely feeling anything and writing it off as,
yeah, I'm just built different, I guess. It don't work on me.
And actually, for some reason, a lot of dudes don't feel anything their first time, including me. I always imagined there being some wall of defense in my body, and with every hit, it got weaker, until finally it broke and opened the floodgates for the green magic to flow through. But there is a final step that a lot of people forget to do, and that is enjoying the high. So yeah, don't try to control it, flow with it. You get me? Especially if you are alone. The types of drivers in high school. As we know, a lot of people get their license during this period, which evokes a sense of godhood in a kid, especially if their parents buy them some beat up old Mustang or Chevy Impala, which they can flex on their friends with. Also, during this time, most guys, and even a lot of girls, think they Michael Schumacher or something and drive however they find fit. Since I attended 2 high schools and have sat with many different drivers during this period, I thought it would be fun to go over all the types of drivers I have encountered. So let's start off with number 1, the one who probably shouldn't have a license. If you've been unlucky enough to be in a car with one of these guys, then you should truly be grateful you are still alive and watching this video. This is the guy who never actually learned how to drive and just kept doing the exam until one miraculous day his examiner was like, "Honestly, Tony, I feel bad for you. It's your 24th time doing this, and you still drive like a 4-year-old with Alzheimer's. But since I'm tired of risking my life with your goofy ass, I'ma pass you. Just promise me that you'll never drive my neighborhood. You scoundrel. They always got the most ridiculous car too, like some weird minivan or some old BMW, talking about how German engineering is superior. Hop on a ride with this guy and you'll be flabbergasted on how much he enjoys accelerating and cutting corners. Dude will have you praying to God that you make it out alive. Thankfully, these guys usually have 1 or 2 crashes and learn from it. One thing they'll never get over though is the love of old busted up cars, cause I guess deep down they know they're gonna crash it eventually. So their brain has learned exclusively to love cars that cost under $1,000. Anyway, enough of this car pirate, let's move on to number 2, the Vape Lord. This mofo don't even care about driving, he just likes vaping in his car. Their vehicle is always loaded with copious amounts of Nico sticks everywhere you look, and you're probably gonna get addicted to nicotine just by being in it. All these guys think they look like a mafia boss, cause they drive with one hand on the wheel and the other gripping their vape. But I gotta give it to him. Even though I don't really vape or anything, there is something about sucking on that cancer stick while driving that makes you feel like a total Chad. Just put on that Peaky Blinders song and you're done. Hey yo man, we got some business to attend to, you get me? You mean picking your mom up from her yoga class? I mean yeah, but it doesn't sound cool when you put it like that now does it? Yeah, true. Let's go! Number 3, the overly confident one. I think the best way to explain this one is with a story. So it's summer and we're driving to this festival. Now the driver, let's call him Edward, loaned his dad's van for this excursion. As we are driving, it starts raining, but it doesn't seem to affect him because he just keeps cruising at the speed limit. Now here's where the overconfidence kicks in. We get to the city and it's still pouring. So I tell Edward he should probably drive really slow because his van's brakes were kind of broken. And well, it's raining. Which he proceeds to explain how he drives however he wants and that a man should drive with confidence. And I kid you not, 3 minutes later we were on this slope which at the end was a red light where cars were stood still, and instead of deaccelerating slowly, my man was going 40 miles per hour down this watery ass road when I panicked and said, "Bro, chill, you're gonna crash." When he was like, "Ah shit, you're right," and proceeded to slam the brakes, but it didn't work because of aquaplaning. Pretty much his tires weren't even touching the road and he just slid like 20 miles per hour and crashed into a Nissan. Thankfully no one was hurt, but sadly Edward did not learn his lesson and is still a menace on public roads to this day. Number 4, the car guy. I love the car guy, not because I think they're cool or even respect their knowledge of cars, it's actually that I find them hilarious, in high school at least. The reason being, they always got some weird modified BMW or Mercedes talking about pound-feet of torque, turbocharged 2-liter olive oil engine. Like bro, I get that you modified your car, but I'm not a car guy, so all I see is a hunk of junk from the scrapyard that can single-handedly intoxicate the air in the parking lot. Funny part about him is even though they are constantly working on their car, it's always broken. The car guys I know have never been like, "Yeah bro, nothing I gotta do, it's all working perfectly." It's always something like, yeah, the right combustor needs a retweak I think, and the engine valves need to be sucked. And my girlfriend left me. Oh damn, sorry bro. Nah, the right combustor shouldn't take too long, and the engine valves will do for now. Nah, I meant your girlfriend, man. Aw, her? Ugh, never liked that hoe anyway, you know. I just have sex with my car now. Okay, bro. Anyway, let's move on to number 5, the plug. This the guy that flips those Reggie packs in the school parking lot. His car always smells like grass and his driving style is heavily influenced by the music he listens to. So if he's under the influence of the woo, he'll drive real safe and according to the speed limit. But put on some Chief Keef and mans will turn into a demon. Dude starts driving like he just hit a drive-by and is trying to dodge the cops. Even though these dudes are making a good amount of money, at least in terms of being a high schooler, their car isn't usually too expensive. Cause well, they be blazing in it 24/7, and well, you gotta be ballin' like Prime Jordan to be able to afford hotboxing in a new car. For me personally, I really like riding with these guys, cause contrary to popular belief, plugs aren't usually killer gangsters trying to get you every chance they get. They're actually pretty chill, plus, free grass. Number 6. The taxi. Man, I love this guy. He the one who always got your back when you need a ride. Dude loves to drive and he'll gladly help a fellow homie out if he needs to be chauffeured. He'll never ask for any money, but you should pay him every now and again, cause if you don't, they'll probably start feeling like you using them and start ghosting you. A lot of people who just got their license are the taxi, cause in the beginning everybody loves to drive, until their parents start to notice that every 2 days the gas tank is magically empty. But a truly caring taxi man will get a part-time job just to finance his 100 miles of driving around the same streets every day. The plug and the taxi go hand in hand, cause a lot of times when the plug's car is broken or he too faded to drive, the taxi will gladly help him venture through the city. Shit, all you gotta do now is throw the vape lord in the car and you got yourself a scene straight out of Blue Story. Anyway, time for the last one. Number 7. The rich kid. This guy drives like royalty. Bro's parents are loaded, so dude never pulls up with anything that's even 2 years old. I'm not saying that all these guys are snobs though, cause I know a lot of rich kids who know that they haven't earned it and just wanna hang out with everybody else. But I've also met a rich kid who constantly flexes with daddy's money, and it's honestly funny to hear it, cause they be thinking that everybody respects him for it, when in reality, he's just a laughingstock of the group. But one piece of advice, be friends with this guy. Whether or not he's stuck up doesn't matter. These guys be throwing the craziest parties with the hottest chicks, so yeah, use that to your advantage. Every type of driver on this list is special in their own way. Me personally, I was probably the one who shouldn't have a driver's license, as I crashed my first 2 cars. But shit, you live and you learn, and nowadays I'm a master of the drift through my expeditions into Assetto Corsa and Sims racing. Blazing with people is a lot different than blazing alone, because whereas being alone, you can just let your mind drift to wherever, if you're with others, you have to, well, at least you should, understand the general vibe and direction of the convos and interactions. Unfortunately, however much you might try to be unbiased, you will discover that there are certain people you will want to smoke with again and will always be invited to the sesh. But then there are also dudes who, after you get faded with once, will leave you contemplating if you ever want to consume that za in a social setting again, or at least with new people, cause you never know if the new guy will be the dude who gets way too intense about everything. Nobody likes this dude, and for a reason. When mofos is faded, they just wanna chill and be happy, but this gremlin finds it necessary to express his deepest resentment or strongest belief in his personal opinions. The group could be talking about some chill like the fragrance of the ocean or the beauty of the sun, and this dude will start spitting out shit like, man, what a day to get lit. No clouds, sunlight on the skin, it's warm, just great. Yeah, man, you're right. What a time to be alive.
You do know about global warming, right? The day we are having is just a byproduct of the disaster that is about to overtake our planet.
Yeah, I know, but shit, I ain't worrying about all that right now. I'm just enjoying the moment, you know?
Well, you should be. Do you know that people like you are the reason why this is all happening? People who don't care and just do whatever they please.
Hey man, chill. I recycle, plus I don't even be driving that much, man. I just be walking around.
Whatever, you do you. Just know you're a part of the problem, not the solution. Like I am. I'm like a part of the solution. I'm really cool.
Like screw you, man. Learn to read the room, Mr. I think like this and therefore you must too. But switching things up, the next guy on the list is someone you definitely want in the sesh. The dude who knows a bunch of random but interesting stuff. Bro, I always enjoy it when a dude like this is in the sesh. Instead of pushing some agenda like the previous guy, he always just adds to the convo in a meaningful and interesting way. Like mofos could be talking about some History Channel shit, and this dude would be knowing all the facts and details. He pretty much like the sesh version of Google, but instead of giving you long paragraphs, he hits you with stuff like, guys, even though it's called World War II, it was only fought in Europe. So why it ain't called Europe War II? What? Nah, but real, I could make a whole video on the stuff I've heard from dudes like this. But the next guy is more of a hit or miss. The dude who rarely smokes. Now, this man either folds under the pressure of the za and just sits quietly observing everybody like an owl, or instead he becomes one with the za and becomes a conduit of it, allowing words to flow from the holy plant itself. Plus, I swear, laughter is contagious, and if a dude like this is feeling comfortable, he always 100% of the time finds everything hilarious, and that good vibe rubs off on everybody, boosting everyone's giggles by a good 25%. But as I said, he kind of a hit or miss, so if he doesn't allow the za to flow through his veins, he'll just sit there quietly giggling by himself like Gollum or something. Yet, you shouldn't hold it against him, cause I think we've all been there, overwhelmed by the power of the green magic. But this next guy is the exact opposite and the universally hated dude at the sesh. The fool who hogs the s***. No one likes a greedy spliff hogger, especially if he himself did not bring any to the sesh and is just riding on the other's hard-earned zaza. The excuse this dog always has is,
My tolerance is much higher than all yours, so in reality, we're all getting the same amount.
and I mean, yeah, technically, but still, that's on you. If you haven't been managing your tolerance and been abusing the za to the point you need to smoke the whole spliff of premium backwood to feel something, then you better bring extra stuff to the sesh. And if you can't afford it, well, start a GoFundMe or something, you goddamn parasite. Shit's pissing me off just thinking about it. But this next guy definitely won't piss you off. In fact, when this dude is rumored to be at the sesh, it's always a must-go. I'm talking, of course, about the plug. Now, you might be wondering, why is this guy so great? Why is it a must-go when he is at the sesh? Well, the answer to that is, he is the plug, and therefore has a shitload of Zaza, and the best part being, it's usually all free. Bro, I've smoked with the plug many times, and they always bust out that exotic stuff for everybody to enjoy. And honestly, that's just a part of it, because this guy knows a lot about the magic green plant, and I swear, the best thing to talk about when high is Zaza, how it's grown, the differences in strains, the differences in effects. It all becomes 200% more interesting when you blazed. And on top of all that, you know for 100% sure that this dude will never freak out nor ruin the group's vibe because he got too high. Shit, my man might freak out for not being high enough. The wake and bake is a legendary art form created by humans of the highest intellect. The act of waking from one slumber and immediately entering into Yodi land is a sacred practice known only to the chillest of creatures. There has been a lot of controversy in the meaning of wake and bake. Some say it can only truly be called the holy practice if one smokes up immediately after awakening from dreamland. Others, including myself, believe it is not necessary to sleep next to your crusty last cleaned in 2007 smell like a rotting can of tuna ass piece of glass. Cause I don't know about you, but personally I like to start my mornings off with something nice, like a coffee or some bacon and eggs, not the taste of water in my mouth whilst coughing my lungs out. I believe a true connoisseur won't partake in such barbaric activities and will at least put some pants on before smoking that doozy. Now, if you ever participated in the wake and bake, you will know that it hits differently than, let's say, an evening bake, but only if you got the whole day free, cause the Zaza will amplify your excitement for the coming day, or until you eat breakfast and pass out on your bed. Back in summer, I used to bake after the wake quite a bit. It was always really nice to just go outside to the warm sun while smoking that morning pack. And bro, don't get me started on those breakfast munchies. I'm usually the guy to only drink coffee or something for breakfast, but that early morning grass gets me on that Nicotine avocado pack, I swear.
Bro, how much are you going to eat?
Everything. And after a delightful breakfast like that, how can you be anything but energized? Nah, in reality, after destroying 2,000 calories of Twinkies, you're probably gonna pass out in 20 minutes. But that's why after the first couple times, I created the 3 golden rules of a productive wake and bake. Number 1. Don't have a demonic ritual that involves you sacrificing 15 hot pockets in your stomach. But you just said that the breakfast munchies are nice. Yeah, they are, but you have to treat the massive breakfast kind of like drinking alcohol. So you gotta understand the sacrifice you are making by having that giant breakfast. You are effectively done for the day, as you will most likely fall right back to sleep after, and then when you do wake up from your 3-hour morning nap, you'll feel all hazy and bad. Cause you just wasted your whole day. You lazy piece of shit. So if you wanna avoid that, don't wake and munch. Number 2. Make a plan the night before. Have goals set for the day. Basic stuff like buy groceries, maybe work out, hang with some friends, stuff like that. Cause when you have a plan the night before, you are much less likely to just sleep the whole day and then at night feel like a lazy fat tub of lard. But also keep in mind, you are supposed to have fun on a wake and bake, so don't make the objectives too hard cause you're probably just not gonna do them then. Some of my favorite wake and bake activities include going to the gym, playing a team sport, playing a story game, bathing in the sun, going to the store, hanging out with the homies, etc. Anyway, time for the last rule, which is number 3. Don't get obliterated on the wake and bake. So this one is kinda obvious, but important nonetheless. It might seem like a great idea to get zoinked up to nines on your first hit, but in reality, all that will do is spoil the plans you set the night before. Cause no matter how productive of a smoker you are, when you're faded to the max, there is about a 95% chance you'll tell yourself, ugh, whatever, I'll do it tomorrow. Which once evening rolls around, will hit you with that existential depression. And the only way to escape from that is with the purest form of productivity. We've all had it, we all know it. 2 a.m. motivation.
F the drugs, f the cigarettes, f that dumb bitch. It all starts fucking today, alright? No more fucking excuses. This is the year of the fucking soldier.
And I mean, even though who doesn't love a bit of midnight motivation, it won't get you anywhere in the long term, and really is usually just a sign of doing nothing useful during the day. But hey, if you follow these 3 golden rules, I'm sure your future wake and bakes will be much more productive and fun. At least I hope so.
High in the sky going 600 miles per hour. What can go wrong?
Hello, valued customers. Captain speaking. We'd like to apologize for the delay. We got word that one of our passengers is smuggling Schedule 1 narcotics on the plane, and we have informed the local authorities who should be escorting the man out right about now.
Alright then, scumbag. Empty your bag right now. I can smell the narcotics on you.
Officer, why? I don't have any narcotics on me. I just ate a legal hemp gun.
Oh shit, he's got a gun! That was a close one, but don't worry, folks. The situation has been handled. We'll get a crew to body bag this son of a bitch. Oh, sure, you also dropped your bag of flour. Anyway, carry on. Highway to the danger zone. Well, turns out quite a few things, but over the clouds there lies a rainbow so beautiful, it might just be worth it. Because as we all know, flying friggin' sucks, because unless you have an online university making you $1 million a day, you're gonna have to get used to paying Michelin star restaurant prices for tap water and the most disgusting food you'll ever taste in your life. And I promise you, bro, I'm not over exaggerating. The last flight of our US trip from JFK to London, me and Riz X decided to pop a New York Lego Brick Blue Rats Eddie just before we got to the airport, so we were faded both at the airport and the first half of our flight. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. This was my first ever time flying high, and yes, this might be a shocker for some of you guys.
CBD bro isn't smoking that Qui-Gon Jinn Vietnamese Phillips head runs 24/7? Unsubscribed!
And although that might be true, just know, this shit ain't nothing to me, man. I smoke real Amani Cuban Rapscallion Ghost Nuggets. I'm him. I've been him. I will continue to be him. Just got my DNA test back. Turns out I'm 100% Himalayan. So basically, I never saw a need nor really had the opportunity to be faded on an airplane. Mostly because 90% of my flights have been 2 hours or shorter, and 2 hours of sitting on the Boeing GTS bucket seat ain't that bad. Well, if you're flying Frontier, it'll probably be like 5 hours because the fucking delay's there. Anyway, as we woke up in the morning in Flushing, New York in a $250 per day shitbox of a hotel at the end of our trip, completely exhausted and a bit depressed from having to go back home from our grand US adventure, we looked at our only 25% consumed $30 bag of Eddies and thought, man, this is all really gonna go to waste. Unless I'ma stop you right now. We're not risking jail time for $15 worth of Eddies. Man, nah, you're right. But what if we just ate it all before the flight? After Googling and Redditing for 20 minutes, we were pretty confident that being high on an airplane isn't a big deal as long as you don't take any za with you. So we ordered our Uber to JFK and now we were on our way to the airport, discussing how much should we take. And although I at first thought of taking the whole bag was 500 mgs, so $250 per, which my tolerance was at the point where 50 effed me up, so we decided on 100 to avoid. Would you like some snacks or any drinks, sir?
No, thank you.
Can I offer you any snacks or any drinks, sir?
I'll have
M&Ms. We arrived at the airport and ate our Eddies just before going in. It took us about 10 minutes to get to the security line, which had us a bit paranoid because the line was pretty long, and for our calculations, the Eddies should be kicking in about 20 to 30 minutes. Thankfully, we were able to unload our bags before they hit, and Rizex was the first one through with no problems. He got his bag and was waiting for me on the other side when...
You're good to go, sir. Enjoy your flight.
Next! Are all your pockets empty, sir? Yes,
Walk on through then, sir. Yeah.
The Eddies had shown themselves just before I went through the body scan, but thankfully I got through that just fine. The problem was, unlike ResX whose bags were cleared instantly, mine were not. They were sent to the manual inspection, which I knew for a fact I had nothing to hide, but because I was slowly but surely descending into madness, all I could think about while I was sitting there with the other people whose bag needed to be checked was, how long is this gonna take?
Shit, I hope I don't have anything. No, I know I don't. Do I?
Yes!
What?
I was bugging out. Not because I was smuggling anything, but because I was slowly but surely getting higher and higher, and was starting to question if I had accidentally left some weed in my bag, maybe, I don't know. Thankfully, after about 20 minutes, I got my bags, and we were able to leave security. Finally. And I thought that the hard part was over, but it was just beginning. Let me introduce you to the worst food place I have ever experienced in my 21 years of life on planet Earth. Let's call this establishment Trust Burger. Even though my expectations for airport food are extremely low, and I mean massively so, the experience there literally opened my eyes to how shit a food place can actually be. I arrived there 1 hour before boarding, and from the first glance, I knew what I was dealing with was truly a Michelin star worthy establishment. There were 4 workers there, each with a designated task, and each one of them was really pouring their heart into it. The first worker was at the counter, and she was really well trained because she was working there in a completely new way. Instead of taking orders and answering customer questions, she positioned herself near the back of the counter, close to the kitchen, obviously to provide the best service possible somehow. Oh, but the kitchen workers were even more professional. They were so good at their jobs that although there was 4 of them, only 1 of them was working. And I'm assuming the others were there for quality control. Now, normal folks like myself and you would think that having a line of people waiting for their food with angry faces would make these guys rush. But no, what we were dealing with were truly smooth operators. Even in the face of controversy, with all eyes on these 5 workers, however much the customers tried to get it out of them, they refused to muster up even one singular fuck. And obviously being that the person who was supposed to be taking orders was doing something else, mostly chit-chatting with other workers, everybody including me had to order from the self-service machine. And so I did. After ordering, I went to buy some Ruffles and M&Ms, and because I was bugging off the Cuban rapscallion ghost nuggets and had lost my sense of time, I went up to the counter to ask if my order was ready. Yeah, hello? Yeah, hello. Sorry, I'm just checking if my order is ready. I went away for a minute, so, just checking. I don't know.
Okay. Well, do you know where I can find this out?
It's only been 5 minutes, man.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
I walked away from there high as balls and shamed. Shamed for asking if my order was ready. Now, at this point, I was basically starving to death. But how these guys had treated me, I was really scared of them spitting or even worse, jizzing on my burger. But after 20 minutes, I did get my order. And if you thought the service was bad, the burger itself was even worse. The thing was cold and dry as fush. It was so bad I literally had to consume the thing like a competitive eater. Every bite had to be hydrated with a sip of water, so the jizz burger would even slide down my throat. After eating it, I was also really paranoid of getting food poisoning. Not because the burger tasted bad, well it did, it tasted like dog shit, but it didn't taste like anything had gone bad in there. Just because I was obliterated and my brain was prepping for the worst case scenario. But now, it was time to find jizz in your RizX and go to our gate. And that took about 10 minutes, and after that we started walking there together when we heard the speakers call out, Mr. Bro and Mr. Riz, this is your last call for flight 69-420. I repeat, Mr. Bro and Mr. Riz, this is your last call for flight 69-420. Please come to gate 69 immediately. Thank you.
Run.
Thankfully, we got to our gate and made it on the plane. And turns out there was plenty of freaking time because we still sat and waited for 30 minutes before the plane took off. Which that might have also been the reason why the guys at the gate looked at us like a bunch of baboons. Looking back at it, it must have set off some alarms seeing two 6'5" behemoths running at full speed holding their carry-ons on top their heads like they were running from a lion, but hey, at least we made it. But once the adrenaline wore off, I realized 100 mg was truly too much. I was fighting demons on that aerodynamic plane, and what made it worse was the flight attendants were all super posh and uptight. We were sat at the extra legroom middle aisle, and I swear it wasn't just a za. These motherfuckers were looking at us, judging our every move. Anyway, after sitting in silence and looking down at the floor for 30 minutes, we finally took off. And because it was an international flight, it was a massive plane. And as it was taking off, it made a lot of creaking and sketchy noises, which increased my tweak meter to almost maximum. I mean, it doesn't make sense physics-wise. How the fuck are those massive wings supported with just a connection to the body of the plane? Things were flopping like crazy, and however much I tried, I couldn't get the vision out of my mind that as soon as the pilot starts pulling up, one of those wings would detach and we would fly into the highway in front of the airport in a ball of fire causing the next 9/11.
But we survived. What a surprise. I guess it was just a week.
I did end up sleeping for 4 hours of our 10-hour flight, which was great. I'll leave it up to you though if you think it was worth it, as all the stress and anxiety did pay off very nicely as I watched Vikings and ate M&Ms for the rest of the flight with a smile on my face. We proceeded to touch down in London at 6 a.m. and slept for 4 hours at a McDonald's before catching our last flight home.
Mushrooms are a lot like that one friend who is always talking and it kind of annoys you, but at the same time you love him cause you know he's always keeping it real with you. So if you are fiending for a third eye awakening on some Dragon Ball Super shit, you better be ready for the Shroomy Shrooms to take you through the depths of your unconscious, where it will dig out and highlight questions about your very fabric of existence like, who am I? Why are we here? Do I like men? But anyway, that doesn't happen the very instant you eat the shrooms. In fact, the stages of a mushroom trip are so different, each one of them could be considered a substance of their own. But the first stage everyone experiences is Stage 1, Ingestion/come up. Right after consuming those Mario power-ups, you might feel your stomach twist and turn a bit, as your body is signaling to you, this shit was not food, wasn't it? But thankfully, it's usually pretty minor and goes away after a few minutes. While waiting for the shrooms to kick, you probably stare at a bunch of random objects hoping to find some type of moving pattern, cause that's what shrooms are supposed to do, right? Well, yeah, kind of, but after 30 minutes goes by and you're still staring at the wall with no sign of visual hallucinations, you probably think to yourself, man, I got scammed, didn't I? But then you start really thinking about it. Are you feeling something? And then you think about the next thing, and the next thing, and then you might laugh at something completely random like this picture of SpongeBob, and boom, you now realize they weren't duds, and you're about to go on a journey, bro. Also, after all this, you probably move on to Stage 2, Questions that lead to more questions. You're at the point now where you know the shroom's kicking, but you don't really see any visuals except for maybe the increased significance of every object, but the main thing is you have started questioning everything you know, but not in a scary way of nothing matters, there is no point. More of a, man, I love hanging out with Charlie. Wait, do I though? What type of person is he actually? He's friendly, but kinda secretive and keeps to himself. What is he keeping to himself? Could he be a totally different person? Am I becoming a better person by hanging out with him? What is going on? So yeah, this stage can be very eye-opening to some, especially if you're the type of person to hang on to problems and worries instead of facing them. Because however hard you try not to think about something, the shrooms won't let you. And although it might seem like that's a bad thing, it's actually not. And you should treat this time of the trip to pinpoint the main questions you would like to receive some type of answers to by the end. Because soon after, you're gonna go to Stage 3. Holy shit! The mushrooms are now almost at full effect, and you're definitely seeing some hallucinations, like moving patterns, disfigured items, wavy hands, etc. But to be honest, that isn't really the main thing, because if you approach this trip with the right mindset, as in you wanted to actually take something with you to the real world afterwards, then currently you are most likely intensely trying to piece together the answers to the questions you highlighted on the previous stage. But it ain't as easy as it seems. It feels like you were were constantly on a breakthrough to something really important and significant, but then you lose it and have to start again with the pieces you left off with. But if you stick with it, you'll always figure something out. Maybe not the full picture, but something. Also, you shouldn't blame yourself if you start talking or thinking about something that you feel is very amazing, but then halfway through realize you literally pondering about the implications of the evolution of the Pringles Man logo, bruh. But not to worry, that's the beauty of shrooms. They make you think about everything on a deeper level, and if you can find the correct things to think about through the clutter of Matrix conspiracy theories, you'll still emerge victorious. Speaking about emerging, the next stage is Stage 4. The slow come down. You are now slowly coming down from the shrooms, which is indicated by the fact you don't see as many trippy patterns anymore, but also you're more realistic in your thoughts as well. Also, at this point, you probably aren't bouncing from thought to thought as much anymore and have chosen a definitive couple of things to think about. And with those things, you will find answers, but also a lot of new questions, which can be frustrating, well, until you get to the next and final stage. Stage 5. Journey complete. At this point, you have almost completely came down from the magic, but not really, because although you don't see any hallucinations anymore, you feel more in touch with reality and yourself. The best way I can describe this stage is like it's the fruit of your labor. This is the stage where you've gone through the constant questions and search for answers and come out victorious. Best way I can describe it is like you're high off some Zaza, but with a much clearer head. So this is the perfect time to play some video games, watch a movie, or do really anything you find fun.
Mushrooms, truffles, call it psilocybin if you're a fancy pants, I don't care. But you will. You'll care about it deeply. You'll question your life. What have you done? Why are you here? What are you doing?
Snap out of it!
Look at your phone. What's the time? How much longer? What?
What you just saw is what I like to call the mushroom experience. And I'm not talking about some Gordon Ramsay culinary dish. I'm talking about that fourth dimension. I'm talking about you being Neo sitting in front of Morpheus.
Choose to eat them, and you will see the truth of who you are. Discover your subconscious. Question things that you've just assumed were true. And if you navigate this path successfully, you'll emerge as...
But, well, what Morpheus won't tell you is that if you don't accept the path of the fungus and fight your subconscious instead, you will not, and I repeat, not have a good time. In fact, I think it's safe to say you shouldn't ever tell anyone to eat mushrooms. It never works out. Either they just don't do it, or they feel like they gotta try it and end up just fighting demons for 3 hours, gaining nothing from the experience except more fear. That being said, for education, science, and the furtherment of mankind, I will be sharing my story to educate the public about the dangers of the unknown. So by continuing with this video, you acknowledge that you are strictly watching this for educational and entertainment reasons and will never recreate anything in the video. Please? Was that enough? We'll see, boy. Enter my friend Ricky. Me and him were chilling at his place when we got to talking. You see, I had previously just consumed some interdimensional fungus a couple weeks back and was kind of raving about how eye-opening it was. You know, the basic hippie shit. But Ricky was not buying it, which in my eyes made me feel like I gotta prove him wrong. Now, I think he was such an unbeliever because he's your typical Eastern European blue-collar, work hard, get hammered on the weekend type of dude. Not that there's anything wrong with that, just I wish I would have realized if your favorite thing to do is forget about all your worries and problems by getting drunk every weekend, then mushrooms probably won't be something you'll vibe with, especially if you low-key don't even want to do them. But regardless, I was all like, Ricky, my man, my main man, my brother from another mother. Okay, I get it. What do you want? What I want is for you to want to eat some mushrooms with me tonight. Eat mushrooms with you and talk about our feelings, or hit up Salamander, go to the club, get hammered, pull some baddies, and lay down the pipe. Tough choice. Well, let me translate that for you. Eat mushrooms, chill out, have fun, free of charge. Or hit up Salamander, spend over $100 on drinks and club entrance fees in hopes of pulling a baddie. With, well, so far your track record being 1 of 15, with the singular success being that fat bit. Okay, you made your point. Let's eat the stupid mushrooms. I probably won't feel them anyway. I had convinced my good old friend Ricky, or at least old friend, maybe not so good. Anyway, he was down to enter the land of mushrooms mushrooms, and I was down with the plug who had some fungus on the low. Although I had promoted this event as free of charge, my financial situation disagreed, so I slowly leaned closer to Ricky and said,
If we borrow $20 to the mall.
with the funding for our mushroom experience now secured, I hit up Jimmy the plug god with... And now we play the waiting game. Any moment now. Finally. Yeah, 10G will run you about $100. Ricky, Richard, Rick Dog. You think you can spare an extra $30 for the homie? Fine. With further funding secured from our amazing sponsor, Rick Dog LLC, we ventured into our automobile to go and secure some Chungus fungus. And while we were driving there, I was all like, you know that once you experience ego death, you get rich and pull hella hoes forever, right?
That's stupid, but enlighten me, I guess.
Okay, so hear me out. Why do individuals eschew the pursuit of their aspirations and the undertaking of risks, particularly when they are not constrained by socioeconomic disadvantages? The answer lies in the nature of the ego, which harbors a fear of failure. This fear arises from a deep-seated concern that we may not be as intelligent or as capable as we believe ourselves to be. Consequently, the ego compels us to remain within the confines of our comfort zone, a realm in which we can entertain limitless potential without ever actualizing it.
Damn, you really want to eat those shrooms, don't you?
Perhaps. As we pulled up to the plug's addy and hunted him down, we completed our transaction and received a good amount of fungus, which I thoroughly inspected on the ride back and told Ricky the plan. No eating anything 2 hours before ingesting. Drink orange juice or anything sugary to end the trip faster. It takes about 30 minutes to kick and 2 hours to reach maximum overdrive. Any questions?
Do they taste okay?
Like an expired can of organic dog shit.
Nice.
We'll eat it with chocolate though.
Great.
We got back to the crib and sat down at the couch next to the table and got all our supplies like orange juice, chocolate, and water.
Let's do this. I'm ready. I can still feel the taste.
Yeah, that'll be like that for a while, but let's take our minds off it with the new Plankton movie featuring SpongeBob.
It's on Netflix.
And so that's exactly what we did. Sat there in anticipation for the fungus to absorb, among us. It took a while, and the wait is always pretty anxious because you don't know when they gonna hit. I mean, it could be now. Better check my hands. No weirdness or fuzziness? What about the walls? TV, okay, seem normal for now. Why is Plankton always plotting something?
Dude really got no chill, for real.
They were starting to kick, but the start is easy. When you're at that microdose level, it's basically like being faded. It isn't until a few dozen minutes go by that if you took some Chungus fungus, you're about to start tripping balls, bro.
A few moments later.
Yo, bro, you watching the movie? Bro, I got no f***ing idea what I'm watching. That's fair, might have eaten too much.
Too much? Wait, you're telling me I ate too much?
No, not really. It just could have taken less too, but what? No spiritual awakening then? Basically. Yo, I gotta get some fresh air. I feel like I can't breathe, man. Shit. Let's go outside then. You're getting me tweaking too, Rick Dog.
Stop calling me Dad. As with every mushroom trip I personally ever had, stage 1 was complete, aka the indoors part, and stage 2, the juicy part, was just beginning. The outdoors wanderer and ponderer. Thank God we did this in spring, cause personally I don't know if I could even handle going outside in the cold while on that Mario pack. Anyway, we walked around in our small town in the fresh air, basking in the glory of the sun, hoping that we don't see anyone we know and shit. What's up? Y'all trying to come to the club tonight?
Not gonna lie, me and Ricky are more fungus than Big Chungus, and Rick Dog is low-key. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
High-key tweaking out like an Oompa Loompa. Damn! You two did mushrooms together? That's kinda gay, but well, have fun.
No, don't leave me. Please, Tree. You're all I have. Yeah, we will, yeah.
Ricky, come on now. The tree isn't leaving you.
Let's go, get something to drink.
So we moved on to the small grocery store in our neighborhood where, according to Ricky, we did not belong. He told me that it feels like everybody is staring at him, and although in my heart I knew that they weren't, the shrooms told me,
Yo, this mofo Ricky speaking facts.
Nah, bro, chill. You've been here enough to know that's not true. It's in your head, son.
Not to scare you, bro, but, you're screwed. The demons are approaching. Ricky, we gotta get out of here right now.
And so we did, with only one thing to show from our efforts, a container of OJ, which turns out does nothing. I mean, every smart shop owner in Amsterdam always says drink OJ to end the trip faster, but ChatGPT told me, nah, bro, that's cap. Which I wish I didn't ask him that while on the fungus, cause now all hope was lost. I couldn't even tell Ricky to jug the orange juice, cause I knew it was a dud. The trip really started feeling like a weird nightmare, but I mean, not so much, because I was tweaking mostly cause Ricky was, and I feel completely responsible for that, cause, well, it was my idea. So I did the only thing I felt like I could. I apologized to Ricky for dragging him into Mushroom Kingdom, which he accepted and told me, it's not your fault, bro. And after that, it was like something clicked, and we finally started vibing, talking about what we were feeling and what we were thinking. Near the end of the shrooms, we were discussing our trip, and if Ricky regretted it, and he said, well, yeah, but not as much as he thought. Because although the first half of the fungus was spooky, the second half did give him some type of spiritual or mental awakening, per se. Not that Ricky was gonna do anything with that. He got wasted with Salamander the next day and spent $200 on drinks, pulling zero hoes in the process. Moral of the story is, magic fungus can make you feel more connected with yourself and your subconscious. Will eating it once with no clear goal or motive change your life? Absolutely not. Or at least, that's what I think due to my experience with Rick Dog.
For the last time, stop calling me that!
I think we can all agree that the magic broccoli can make you more creative. However, how does that creativity translate outside the realm of Yodiland is a whole different question. Now, me being the certified weed scientist, doctor, officer, and more, I've had a lot of sometimes stupid, sometimes brilliant ideas, well, bugging off the Zaza. Like this one time when me and my brother were just enjoying a beautiful summer day outside on the terrace, faded AF, when by the gods I was struck with an idea so brilliant and great, I just couldn't stop until it came to fruition. And what was this idea? Well, it went something like this.
Oh my. Hey bro, I just got this great idea that I think we should do right now.
Okay, what is it?
I got 2 words for you. Virtual reality.
And what transpired after this is one of the most sad, stressful, and heartbreaking experiences of my high career. Although my brother was hesitant at first, after I explained why virtual reality will quite literally change our lives forever, he agreed to it. The only problem now was we were broke. Well, not completely, but these damn VR headsets cost anywhere from $400 to $1,000 new. And ain't no way we were about to drop a bag like that on some VR porn.
Games, I mean VR games. That's what I was saying.
So we did what any other broke 20-year-old with a materialistic dream would do. We went on Facebook Marketplace, where after a while of searching, we found a Oculus Rift S being sold for $150, which is a great deal. I mean, it cost $400 new, plus it was only 20 miles away, so we could be there in like 20 minutes. So obviously, we went ahead and bought it, without really asking any questions nor looking through the description of the post, which mentioned a cat nibbling on the cord, but hey, what does that have to do with anything?
It was f***ing broken, okay? That's what it had to do with it.
But not in a won't even turn on way of broken. It was like work for 20 minutes and then doesn't broken. Plus, it didn't even use a normal HDMI cable, so we had to buy a damn $50 adapter for it as well that we haven't used ever since this incident with VR. After like 2 days of screwing around with the settings and trying to fix the nibbled on cable, we got it to work for the record-breaking time of 1 hour. Yes, 1 hour of virtual reality. But, you know, we spent like 10 hours getting it all set up and fixing the damn errors. Plus we dropped $200 on the supplies, so, yeah. And, I think it's time I confess my sins right here on the channel. After a week of having the VR headset, we sold it. For a profit. To an unexpected kid who probably was saving up money for months to get it. Sorry. but it's a dog-eat-dog world, and I put in the description the same damn thing. A cat nibbled on the wire. So yeah, I think the kid learned a valuable lesson worth more than the $200 he gave me for the broken headset. I mean the VR headset. But it's not all bad, cause I've had some pretty banger ideas while high as well. Like this one time when I was inhaling that broccoli and stumbled upon these high stickman channels that were popping up, and I thought to myself, wait, hold up, I'm high. I know how to use Microsoft Paint. I can do this. And look, it was one of those ideas that you have while high, but it was actually a good idea. Very unlike this one time when me and a couple homies were hotboxing in the car when I came up with the genius plan to go sledding in the middle of winter whilst completely blasted, whilst only having on a hoodie, and whilst only having our damn legs for transportation cause the car was just a stationary hotbox machine. So yeah, at the time I don't know what I was thinking. I remember just focusing on the awesome part, you know, the whole sledding down the mountain thing, but didn't take into account how cold it was, how much we needed to walk to get up the mountain, how I only had a hoodie on, plus I forgot about my crippling paranoia about feeling cold. Like literally, my dumbass brain just sometimes flips on me like, hey, psst. Yeah. So you're having fun? Feeling good? You know, yeah, it's a beautiful day, you know, I'm having a good time. Yeah, it is. But you're freezing cold, aren't you? No, what? I'm not. Well, now you are. F you. Talk to you in your next high. Peace. So yeah, I don't know what I was thinking with that sledding plan. I was just really hyped about it for no apparent reason, but I think that's just like, it makes everything seem awesome. Another weird obsession I seem to have when I'm faded is real Japanese samurai swords. I don't know why, but there's just something about knowing that the sword you are holding was once used for actual combat by a true samurai. But hey, that just might be me. We all know there is an invisible hierarchy in high school that depending on where you stand will determine how many girls and party invitations you get. But understanding your place in the pyramid is the first step to dominating, because if you're at the bottom, no amount of riz will get you that one super hot Latina model chick you stalk on Instagram every day. Anyway, let's get right into Level 1. Total Geek. Now, the Total Geek level doesn't necessarily mean that you walk around with a waifu plushie wearing a Naruto Shippuden t-shirt all the time. What it does mean though is that your social game is 0, and the only interactions you have in school are either with the teacher or with other Total Geeks. This would be the guy who sits alone at the back and has a voice crack every time they need to speak in front of the class. The people who are on this level usually project a false reality in their heads, so they don't see themselves as geeks. In fact, the opposite. They see themselves as the secret Sigmas who don't socialize with anyone because they just don't want to, and if they wanted to, they'd be the most popular person in school. This can be very dangerous, and one must call himself out on this if he wishes to advance in the rankings, because if not, well...
They all think they're so cool. They don't even know if I wanted to, I could be the leader of this class and get every girl I wanted.
Hey, can you give me a pen? I don't know where mine is.
Yeah. Here you go. She totally got raised by the Rizzler.
Level 2. Not a total geek. Welcome to the first level where you might just have some friends inside the school. Even though you're probably still not gonna be invited to parties, you might have a couple popular kids who think you're aight. And well, at least no one looks at you as one tick away from shooting up the school. That was a joke, YouTube. But where your social game really takes a step up is at Level 3. Goofy Goober. This is where your quality of life improves dramatically because you don't have to worry about whether or not you're gonna have anyone to talk to or sit with in the cafeteria in class. You'll start to notice that you have merged into a friend group, whether intentionally or not. And because of that, you are also invited to parties. But even though you are invited, that doesn't mean you're popular, because most likely you are more of a filler character than a main. Meaning your purpose in said function is to be an NPC to make the party appear more lively, because as we know, the more people at the function, the more memorable it is. But all you gotta do to get to the next level is to do something cool, like, I don't know, maybe a backflip. Hey everybody. Emphasis on attempt, because even though you are invited to every party and have a lot of friends, doesn't mean your riz is up to par. That being said, Level 5. Chad. Welcome to the pinnacle of popularity. Not only are you liked by almost everyone, you are also respected. Cause remember that super hot model chick you were stalking on IG? She is now one of your many achievements in the cruel and unforgiving world of high school. To add to that, not only are you invited to every party, you are the foundation to a great high school function. Cause if you pull up, so do the hoes. Knowing that, you pick and choose if a party is deserving of your immaculate riz. But there is someone you fear, someone who challenges your undisputable game in the shadows, someone who didn't have to earn the power. He was born with it. He is Level Infinity, Sigma Chad. This is what most total geeks think they are, dream of being. He really doesn't care at all about his riz. In fact, he doesn't even know what it means. All he knows is for some reason every time he talks to any girl, they get all giggly and anxious. This person has the natural social skills and looks to be a LA influencer, but he just doesn't care, and that's the reason why the Chad doesn't like him. But unlike everybody else, the Chad holds no power over this guy. In fact, he fears him, because if he were to talk bad about the Sigma, it would greatly lower his popularity. And what angers the level 5s the most is the fact that the Sigma acts oblivious to the hierarchy, so he might hang out with a group of geeks one day and then go to a cheerleader-only party the next, whereas the Chad must adhere to the social structure in order to maintain his position as the king of high school, which means in reality, he is still just another pawn in the endless struggle to become popular. But that's just a theory, a game theory. High school is the time in everybody's life where they are encouraged to discover themselves and what they enjoy most. Or, I mean, that's what it's supposed to be. In reality, it's mostly looked as a place to chat with your homies and vape in the bathroom, whilst occasionally having to write some stuff on a piece of paper the teacher hands out. If I remember correctly, they were called tests or something like that. Anyway, since I do like to consider myself a humble observer, today I will be going over all the types of students there are in high school, starting with the geek. Now, this the mofo who everyone universally likes or completely hates. It all depends on if he or she is a man of the people, meaning if you got the answers to those Pythagorean theorem calculations and you're willing to share, my man. But if you the type of geek to be like, hey man, sorry for bothering you, I kind of forgot to do my homework this time, can you spot me yours? So...
No.
Come on man, help a fellow student out.
No.
Man, you're a real dickhead. As you can see, that right there is not a cool geek, but I do get their struggle. I mean, if you got mofos approaching you every day asking for homework, that's one thing, but like, you gotta find the balance between helping a fellow student out and being used, cause as we know, with great power comes great responsibility. Speaking of power, the too cool for school student. Every classroom needs at least one cool guy, and of course the cool guy always comes as a combo deal with 2 to 4 yes man grunts alongside him. This is the dude that thinks the teacher likes him, and to be honest, I never could really figure out if he does or not. Cause yes, this dude is one of the most active kids in the classroom, but he also the most disrespectful. So depending on his mood, he might be on his phone one lesson and then be actively thinking with the teacher the next. One thing I never liked about this guy though is that you couldn't really ever argue with man, cause you were always walking into a 1v4 with those damn yes men he always had with him. Like, broskies, you know the Declaration of Independence exists, right? You have the right to have an opinion too. But besides that, he's usually pretty chill, so definitely a net positive for the classroom experience. And talking about positive forces in the classroom, the class clown. I think I speak for everyone when I say the class clown is universally loved by all, as he is the only one in the class who takes it upon himself to actively make everybody laugh and boost the overall morale of the students. The only times this dude can be kind of annoying is when he doesn't know when to stop. Like for real, I ain't no sweat, I swear. But sometimes when I had skipped multiple lessons for a week straight and then attempted to make a comeback by actually listening in class, this dude just kept interrupting my absorption of knowledge. Like, on God, sometimes I just wanted to. Hey, Miss Cranberry, have you heard about the one... Okay, that would be going too far, but I think a lot of you guys can relate, especially all my skippers out there. Oh, and speaking of skipping class, the fable. Not gonna lie, bro, this was me. Not saying I'm proud of it, but man, it was tough going to school every day. So I decided for my mental health, I could only go about 2 times a week. But there were obviously others, people who took it even further. Mofos were pulling up to school like it was a once in a month event. But man, did they always come prepared. These dudes would pull up with their hardest drip. Mofos were more concerned about what Air Jordans they had on than that stupid Pythagorean theorem. But you know, you never know when a job interviewer might ask you about how many apples there are in South Africa if the square root of pi is 7.4 and the derivative is 69. Nah, but all jokes aside, most of these dudes didn't end up too good. Like, skipping school is all fine and good until you discover your grades are at the unrecoverable bottomless pit. And from there, it's usually a one-way ticket to not living your best life. So even if you think school isn't for you, it's high school. Keeping up passing grades literally takes less effort than waking up in the middle of the night to take a piss. Although, now that I think about that, that's actually pretty tough. Bad example. I don't know about you guys, but the high schools I went to, everybody and their mamas was puffing on some type of G Fuel flavored mist. Got to the point where mofos were scared to go to the bathroom in fear of getting peer pressured into taking a quick rip. I mean, imagine being the new kid at school and you just want to take a quick poopington in the bathroom, but as soon as you walk in, you're greeted with 4 dudes sharing the mist machine whilst hogging the whole sink area. Worst part was, every time you walked in, they made you feel like you were doing something wrong, like you interrupted their confidential meeting or some. Thankfully, even though I never really got into vaping, I was cool with most of the dudes who did. So today, I thought I'd go over all the types of vapors I encountered during my high school career. So let's get right into number 1, the airbender. This guy's the one who did all them cool tricks the other kids couldn't do. I'm not sure if he got any respect from knowing the ways of the wind, but shit, gotta respect the dedication. Cause when I hit the occasional puffington, I always try to recreate them. To be honest, that's the only reason I ever took a rip. I just thought they looked so cool. Dude was in the bathroom blowing jellyfishes or whatever the tricks were called. Mofo was looking like he lived in the Hidden Mist Village. The Hidden Mist Village being the school bathroom, of course. But besides that, these dudes were pretty chill. They never really peer pressured anyone nor begged for quick rips. In fact, they were the one who donated them quick rips. Cause I mean, to learn all those tricks, dudes had to have a copious amount of that sweet mango flavored liquid. But talking about begging for quick rips, number 2, the parasite. Oh boy, the parasite. The universally hated vapor. This the kid that was always in the damn mystified bathroom slithering around on that my precious shit. Dude usually didn't even have his own vape, but was the one that was always puffing on one. Most of the time, no one really cared too much though, cause passing your piece was part of the game. But bro, this one time I was taking a dump and I overheard this happen. Yo guys. Yeah, what's up, man? My man, can you give me a quick rip? Bro, you always come in here with that, can I get a quick rip? Like, nah bro, not anymore. Get your own vape. Nah bro, I didn't know you stingy like that, but this is why no one likes you. Man, shut your bitch ass up before I make you shut up. What you gonna do, bro? These dudes were really fighting in the bathroom over some watermelon flavored air. But one thing's for sure, that dude never asked for a quick rip from that guy again. To be honest, I rarely saw that dude in the Hidden Mist Village after that. Other dude must have beaten the nicotine addiction right out of that man. God damn. Anyway, time for the next dude on the list, which is number 3, the plug. You ever wonder where all them high schoolers were getting their mango juice? Well, the answer to that is either they got some random guy to buy it for them from the shop, or they had this dude in their Snapchat friends list. This mofo was straight ballin'. Dude must have been feeling like El Chapo walking those school hallways, cause everybody kinda knew him, even the kids who didn't vape. Although the plugs I knew weren't even big vapors themselves, and I always felt like they were in the circle mostly to advertise their new product. But boy did that shit sell. See, if you bought your death liquid from the store, you were paying a premium, but not from this guy. I actually looked into this when I was in school, and how they were able to have such cheap prices is by buying the base tasteless liquid in bulk from eBay or some, and then flavoring it themselves at their base of operations. If you look at it straight up, these guys were kinda scumbags, selling addiction to kids. But then again, they were the same age themselves, so they probably didn't even contemplate the moral aspect of it, so I forgive them. Not that it matters though, these dudes probably off somewhere in Colombia right now fighting for mango juice territory or some shit. Anyway, time for number 4, the guy who got peer pressured into vaping. Bro, I always felt low-key bad for this guy. I mean, dude was a good quality student until one day one of his homies introduced him to Julius Caesar. And at first, he was hesitant, but once he took that Puffington, it was game over. Dude went from, no thanks, I don't vape, to, hey bro, can I get a quick rip? It's sad to see, but unfortunately, unlike cigs that taste like dirt, the mechanical cancer machine will not openly admit to its nature and trick you into a subtle but noticeable addiction. So if you're thinking of hitting one quick rip, don't. You literally might regret it for the rest of your life. On some iron lung shit. But time for the biggest douchebag of them all. Number 5. The peer pressure. Man, how I hated this guy. Dude got his dumb ass addicted and now he feels like everybody else should be too. Out of everyone on the list, I dealt with this guy the most, cause a lot of my friends were vapers, so I would often find myself in the vape circle, even though I wasn't a big fan of the Puffington. But this dude had zero self-control. Dude would be blowing mist in the group's face and would always be like, hey bro, don't you know the rules? To be in this bathroom, you gotta take at least 5 rips. Nah bro, I'm good. Man, stop being a pussy. Just one rip, come on. No, really bro, I'm good. Come on, just take one. Yo, what's wrong with you, bro? You broke my vape. You gotta buy me a new one now. Or how about you buy yourself a new one and I won't tell your mom you're selling mango juice to 7th graders. Sound good?
The first day back at school, a day I used to hate. I mean, can you blame me? Cause as a student, summer is the only significant amount of time you are granted to enjoy your young life, and the rest, well, back to the academic 9 to 5. But to make the clown show that is the first day back at school a bit more fun and exciting, me, Salamander, and Ricky conjured up a devious plot to add a little bit of spice into the mix. It all started on the night before the first day. We were all at Salamander's place just chilling, playing Xbox, eating Doritos, and smacking the Benjamin, of course, when the conversation sailed to the topic of going back to school. It was the usual, man, I don't wanna go back to school. Yeah, bro, same. Until Salamander, the troubled child he was, or is, I don't know, said, hey guys, you know what we should do tomorrow before the opening ceremony? No. We should totally spark a J. Nah, man, you know I don't like getting faded in school. That shit is so stressful. Nah, hear me out. This ain't school. It's the first day ceremony, where they sing, read poems, and I don't know, maybe someone will do a flip or something too. So, wouldn't it be more fun if during all that, we were faded? He's got a point. Okay, but just a little. You better not bring some abomination of a spliff like last time. Shit, you know me, I wouldn't do that. We decided to smoke up just a little bit before the first day. A little bit was what we agreed upon. So obviously, Salamander, being the trustworthy homie he is, would never peer pressure nor instigate a friend into smoking more than he wants. So obviously, he only rolled a small split. Okay, so here's the J. Bruh. This mofo heard my request of a small J to get only a bit suited and decided, okay, small, microdosed, small J, medium. Nah, fuck it, fat. But anyway, here we are, on the park bench outside the school premises at 8:30 a.m. during wake and bake hours. And well, because me and Ricky are men of integrity and honor and would never waste Frieza, we fell to the bamboozlement of Salamander yet again and smoked the whole thing. Whereas right after, we were running a bit late, so the 3 of us Soint Musketeers stood up and started walking intensely to school. But honestly and thankfully, I wasn't very paranoid, unlike most of the times I got high at school, because, well, it was the first day and we didn't really have any classes except for only one introductory welcome back type thing that was supposed to last only 45 minutes, so not a big deal. Once we arrived at the auditorium, we were shell-shocked to find out the speech was already going on, and because we were looking like a couple medium rare filet mignons, we didn't really want to go in, cause we knew when we opened that door, everybody would stop and stare at us, cause that's just how it always is when you arrive to class late. And although Salamander was telling us, nah guys, don't be pussios, let's just go, we ended up sitting out the first part until lunchtime, cause we were pretty sure we wouldn't get in trouble if we just said we missed our bus or something. 30 minutes went by and lunchtime came, and because we were camped out at the cafeteria, we were the first to get their welcome back to school lunch. And what was that wonderful, significant, mouth-watering dish, you might ask? Well, it was nothing but munchies heaven. We were served some beans, a boiled egg, and some turkey meat or something. Oh, and I can't forget the 1% milk that tastes like it was mixed with water. fantastic. But even though the food should have been pretty dog poop, it was actually pretty aight. I mean, it wasn't no Big Mac and McNuggets, but because we were high, it was edible. No. I would even go as far and say it was pretty good. After eating our gulag food faster than everybody else, we were the first back in the auditorium, and because of that, we got the best seats in the house, at the far back corner where no one could see us. And although we had missed the only important part of the day, that being the introductory speech by the principal, we did have a jolly old time listening to the honor students' inspirational poems and songs about life by giggling and chuckling in the back like math.
Hey, yo. Chemistry.
And with that, the first day had come to an end, and we went back home and played Xbox High.
I don't know about you, but when I meet a new person and he or she says that he enjoys getting high, I instantly think to myself, this is the start of a beautiful friendship. Although that can be the case, it's not always, cause even though the excitement of finding a fellow saw enthusiast is great in a world where some mofos still think it's worse than things like alcohol, sleeping pills, nicotine, and other shit that you can straight up buy from a supermarket, in reality, when you really think about it, it's kinda dumb, cause if it was anything else, would you feel the same? Like, if you were at a club and someone said they like drinking, you wouldn't think, oh my god, this guy gets it. Unless, you're an alcoholic, I guess. But anyway, today I made a great list of people I've encountered who smoke the Zaza, but I wouldn't personally enjoy hanging out with. Starting with a well-known one, the dude who makes the grass his whole personality. Nah bruh, I can't stand dudes like this. Like, don't get me wrong, I love a bit of Zaza as much as the next guy, but bro, there's so many other things to talk about and do. The problem with these types of people is that I feel like they've missed the whole point of it all. Cause in my opinion, it's not all about how high you were, it's more about where you were high. Damn, that's deep. Like, I'd rather hang out with a dude who has never been high in his life, but has interesting stories/experiences and doesn't just talk about, yeah bro, I was so damn high last night, I was on planet Venus. Damn, that's crazy. So where were you at? What you mean? Like, where were you and what were you doing, It must be a crazy story. No, I mean, I was just at home on my bed, eating Doritos and stuff. So you were just high in your room all day? Yeah, I mean, yeah. What a fucking lame story. Don't get me wrong, being high in the comfort of your room is probably the best place to be, but like, I'ma keep it $1.25 with you. I've probably been high in my room 100 times by now, and I don't remember a single thing about any of those nights. To me, this experience is more like being in the hub area of a video game after a long and hard mission during the day, and you don't see mofos talking about what a crazy time they had in the title screen of a video game. It's usually, the game itself. But anyway, on to the next guy on the list, who is the dude who will try to shame you for not wanting to get high. You ever met a mofo like this? These dudes are kinda like the previous one, but one step worse, cause instead of accepting that maybe you have shit to do, they'll call you a lame-o or buzzkill or bitch-ass shit-licking, dick-riding, butt-munching, cock-enjoying, sneako-watching soy boy. And for what? Not wanting to waste a day by doing nothing but watching The Simpsons and eating Twinkies? Like, mofos need to realize, although it is great to watch Simpsons and eat Twinkies all day, doing that for 2-3 days in a row, most dudes will feel straight up bad and sad. If you're a human being living in today's day and age, to succeed in anything, you can't be doing that consistently. It's gotta be a special occasion, celebration, or when you've already completed your goals for the day and deserve a break. But hey, at least they don't shame you for the thing this next guy shames you for. The dude who will make fun of you for smoking less than him. Now, this guy is a lot like the first dude, but with the added minus of he actually thinks for some odd reason that the fact that he has to smoke a whole damn cart to feel high is a flex. Like, sorry bro, but I know dudes who had the exact same mentality and let's just say they ain't end up so good. Like for example, this guy who thought being high is a damn competitive ladder that needed to be climbed. Like the army, but instead of protecting your country and preserving peace, it's all about who can smoke the most crack without dying. Like, imagine this same attitude, but instead of Zaza, they'd be doing this with nicotine. Mofo would be 45, working minimum wage in the back of a gas station with a young guy talking about,
What's that? You still puffing on one cig, boy? I'm puffing on 6 at a time. But don't worry, you'll get there someday.
I don't know if I wanna get there, man. Okay, that's never happened, but I'm just trying to show you how ridiculous this is. And P.S., there's a lot more to life than getting high, and I'm definitely not out here being faded 24/7, cause if I was, you'd probably be seeing one video every 2 months. It's all about finding the balance and having the right reasons for inhaling the za. Have you ever met someone who parades the fact that he loves the Zaza, and if you ever say anything bad about it, he gets all defensive and starts frantically arguing about how it's good for you? Like, yeah bro, there are health benefits, but if you're out here doing 8 rips, 4 2 edibles, and half a cart every 12 hours, do you really think you're reaping the health benefits of the za? Mofo beyond about, it helps with my anxiety and depression. Like bro, what are you anxious about? Worried that the pizza delivery guy might be an assassin? Sounds more like paranoia to me. And have you stopped to think that maybe the depression you're feeling could be because all you does is sit around, eat pizzas, smoke grass, and watch Disney Plus? But people like this aren't the majority, and overall, when you meet a fellow grass eater, you can expect him to be just a normal chill dude who uses the za to enhance his experiences, rather than rely on it for them. So today, I thought I'd go over some of the coolest dudes I've encountered who consume that lettuce, starting with the za athlete. This is the guy who's always in the gym grinding to become the ultimate specimen of human movement. The thing that's great about this dude is that although he loves the grass, which is generally considered a lazy substance, he doesn't let that stereotype stop him from enjoying it. Although many of his athlete friends might hold it against him, calling him a crackhead, he knows that it's all about moderation and using the za to enhance his recovery and free time experiences. But the best part about a dude like this is that you know he is a solid guy that you don't have to worry about leading you down a bad road, cause he is always mindful of where the breaking point between just having a fun time with the homies and hey bros, wanna do some is. So if you're friends with this guy, you can be damn sure he won't ever peer pressure you into doing something stupid. In fact, he'll probably be the one who will try to talk you out of something like that. Plus, you know, depending on the athlete, he might make the NBA, so best to stay on his good side if you ever want to blaze up in a LA mansion with Wiz Khalifa and Drake and shit. But on to the next dude on the list, the high gamer. I'm not sure how you guys feel about video games, but I've always seen the genre as the highest form of at-home entertainment there is. Although it is a lot harder to truly get into a game nowadays, when you do, the peaks of fun are much higher than watching a Netflix show, for example. Although that's just my opinion and yours might obviously be different. So you better believe it when I say I love dudes who enjoy gaming in orbit, because that's something that two za enjoyers can truly bond over. Now you might be thinking,
Everybody enjoys playing games. Ain't nothing special about it.
I'd have to respectfully disagree, because it takes a certain level of power to really sit down well blasted and focused on a video game, cause honestly, most of the time it ends up going something like this. Finally time to play some Elden Ring while blasted. This is about to be crazy fun.
20 minutes later.
Man, screw this, I'ma just watch some TikToks. As you can see, it's not that easy, but if you have a friend who's on the same planet as you and you going through the struggle together in a co-op game, it's much easier to get into. So I for one will always have a special place in my heart for dudes who can actually game while blasted, cause honestly, it's not as easy as you might think, especially if the session lasts over 1 hour. But time for the productive and successful Not gonna lie, these dudes are like a rare Pokemon that you might never come across because the requirements to be a dude like this are rather high, but the power he possesses is godly. This is the dude that has his own business or works like a sales job or something, which is a highly social and time-consuming practice. But somehow this mofo has done all of this while frequently bugging off the Zaza. He's kinda like the Wolf of Wall Street, but instead of doing lines off a lady's you know what I mean. He's out here taking a fat rip and then minutes later closing a massive deal with some company. I met a guy like this only once, and I won't stand here and act like I was not in awe of this man's power. we were all just chilling, faded AF, when this guy got a phone call, and not just any phone call, it was some company he was trying to make a client for the company he worked for. And me being me, all I could think of was, oh shit, dude must be freaking out being that faded, having to deal with something like that. But no, bro calmly told us he'll be back in like 10 minutes, went to the other room and closed the deal, or at least that's what it seemed like. I swear, some people just have a godlike stress tolerance, cause man, I can be out here faded and get a call from my mom to pick up some groceries, and that shit will have me stressing out if it wasn't in my initial plan. I guess what I'm trying to say is, for 95% of people, if you high every day, you're gonna get lazy and content with your position in life. But there are people who can manage to pull off this lifestyle and still be successful, and god damn do I respect that. Although I'd imagine that if they weren't high all the time, they'd be even more successful. But hey, what do I know? Anyway, next guy on the list is the artsy dude. Now, this guy isn't exactly what you're thinking. And yes, I know you're imagining this painter who's always on about, bruh, you just gotta go with the flow. Let yourself be free and you'll find peace. Sorry, but what the fuck does that even mean? Although these guys can be cool, their gimmick gets old pretty quick. The dude I like is more of just a Chad who has a highly functioning imagination. Cause with a guy like this, you always have something to talk about, and they come up with some of the most interesting things. Plus, they're usually not just some hippie dude who enjoys saying shit that makes no sense and expects everybody to think he's deep cause he saw a quote on TikTok and it really resonated with him. He's more of the dude who'll say some master Oogway quote and explain how that funny meme actually says something deep about life, but then ended with, I don't actually know, I might just be too high. And I love that, cause sometimes a mofo is just too high and sees a deeper meaning in something that doesn't have one. But hey, that's just a theory, a high theory.
You know, the line between a fun high and a you done high is very thin, and that shit is no joke. Sometimes all it takes is just one extra puff. And that's when I finally realized that dude was not talking about no Coca-Cola to drink.
Wait, but I did buy this weed from him. I wonder if...
No, wait, it can't be.
Everybody stop right now! I think we're all smoking crack!
Hey, yo, see, you got any more of that weed you gave me yesterday? Oh, it's really good shit. Yeah, I really liked it. Hey, yo, so you have some. Hey, yo, give me, I'll give you anything. I'll fucking suck your dick.
And that's exactly why you can never trust a plug who also sells that Coca-Cola, if you know what I'm saying. But your weed being laced with a substance that'll change the chemistry of your brain and make the pursuit of your dreams and happiness into the pursuit of concentrated 1900s Coca-Cola and ruin your life forever is the least of your worries when you smoke up with a bunch of sad boys. Now, don't get me wrong, mental health is very important and you should never keep everything inside because your loved ones want to help you. But bro, ever since Juice WRLD dropped Lucid Dreams, motherfuckers will find any reason to be depressed.
I still see your shadows in my room. Can't take back the love that I gave you.
Yo, what's going on with you, bro? Like, you've been acting really sad as of late.
You wouldn't understand. I'm depressed. There's just no point to anything.
Wait, but you weren't depressed 2 days ago. Oh, you're on a sad boy phase.
Sad boy? No! Oh, fuck, I guess I am.
Yeah, bro, how about we go to Salamander's place, get obliterated, and play some Super Smash Bros. Instead of whatever the fuck you're doing here?
Yeah, what am I doing here?
Yeah, let's just get out of here.
1 hour later.
So, Ricky, you still sad? Nah, I'm having a blast. Wait, but you were saying something about, like, someone's shadows you were still seeing in your room?
I don't want to talk about that.
And that's the story of how we were able to stop Ricky from becoming a full-time sad boy, just in the nick of time. But besides almost losing a friend to the song Sad, exclamation point, there have been 2 extremely scary highs I have gone through. One was instigated by the popo, man, fuck the police, and the other was from the fear of losing my life. Let me set the scene for you. I'm in high school and I've smoked maybe 3 or 4 times ever, but the last time I did was months ago, so my tolerance was damn near at the level of smelling some grass and getting faded. Anyway, so I had a couple friends who have been asking me relentlessly to get some and get faded because they didn't know any plugs and really wanted to try it. So one weekend I decided to finally fulfill their request and hit up my homie Salamander and acquired the exotic. The weekend came and we found ourselves in my dorm room rolling a J, which, well, I had to roll it, and it took me a while because my stats were low AF. Basically, I was out there trying to pick an expert level lock with 0 points in perception, dog. After going through 20 papers, the abomination was ready, though. So we went deep into the local park and sparked it. Barely, because that shit had almost 0 airflow. I had to relight the damn thing after every puff. Yet, that was definitely not even close to the worst part, because these motherfuckers were begging me to get the Zon in the first place, were scared shitless to get high, so I ended up smoking like 80% of the J myself, leaving me absolutely zoinked in a group where nobody else wasn't. So you can imagine I was feeling pretty betrayed, and also a bit scared, because if you've ever been obliterated in a group where no one else is, you know that you feel kind of like an alien abandoned by your comrades in a hostile planet, and that feeling was amplified by the fact that these friends of mine were kind of dickheads. Because after puffing down the J, we went to the local gas station to get some munchies, and of course I was fiending for some trans fat, so I asked them if they could go in there and bring me the stuff I wanted, and I'd of course pay them back. Pretty reasonable and easy, right? Being that I was the only one who was blasted and scared of getting caught. I guess fucking not, because these pussios who didn't even inhale the fucking weed told me that they wouldn't bring me anything if I didn't come in. Which, I mean, these days I wouldn't mind, but I was like 17 and it was a Friday night, the prime time for cop patrol, so I had no choice and went in there tweaking out of my mind like...
Oh fuck, this place is full. Shit. Wait, it feels like they're all staring at me. No, I think I'm just high. Okay, let's just get out of here. I'm not gonna order anything. Okay, fine. Go to the corner.
Hey, yo, bro, I'm gonna just take some chips and candy, okay? And can you give me the car keys so I can just wait it out in the car while you guys wait for your food? Yeah?
No.
What? Why? I'm not even gonna turn it on, bro.
Cause, bro, I got an announcement to make.
This motherfucker high as...
Bro, shut the fuck up! That ain't funny. Unbake this for you, pussy.
Okay, but yeah, you're not getting the keys. So basically, these scumbags just decided to torture me, and because I had to wait for their food anyway, I went to order some too, and as I was doing so, 3 girls from my school approached me at the counter and were like, yeah, I'll have a
Hey, see, I heard you guys smoked some weed, yeah?
Well, no, I'll have the dumplings, yeah. But yeah, we definitely didn't. We're all super duper sober bober.
Yeah, you did. Dwayne said so. You got some left? You can come to our place if you have some. We really want to get faded too.
And in that moment, I had to pause and rethink my whole life, because I did not in fact have any left, because I wasted it all on my rinky-dinky sausage party bum fun enjoying friends. Which, if I would have had some left, I could have gone to these girls' crib and smoked up with free hot chicks. But no, I donated all the weed to Dumber, and me, the dumbest. And after that realization of alliances, I changed the famous saying, bros before hoes, to bros who aren't hoes before bros. And I live by that to this day. But the scariest part was yet to come, because as I was waiting for my food posted up at the ice cream station, a cop walked in. And that just set my tweak meter to a whole new level. I felt my heart rate spike to like 200, and I was shaking, just begging God for him not to walk towards me. But he fucking did. I avoided eye contact at all costs, but it seemed he had his eyes set on me. He got closer and closer until he was standing right in front of me.
Fuck, why is he here? He knows I'm faded, doesn't he? Oh shit, I'm fucked. I'm going to juvie. This is over. Oh my God, I'm gonna fucking die.
Yes, officer? Could you move out of the way, please? I want some ice cream.
Yeah, of course. My bad.
Thanks. Nothing better than some good old Ben & Jerry's to complement a sour diesel joint. Shit, fucking fire. Okay, the last part maybe didn't happen, okay? Anyway, the build-up, the weed, the cop, everything combined gave me some of the worst anxiety I've ever had, but the relief when he just wanted some ice cream was equally amazing. I had gotten away from this horrid situation, and once we got our food, we went to a hangout spot where I got really cold and tweaked again. Overall, I'd rate the high a 7 out of 10 just because it was eventful and I got a nice adrenaline dump, but it would have been a damn 9.5 if your boy could have gone to the girls' crib and got faded with some hot females instead of my pussy friends, goddamn. Although this high was quite stressful, it did have its highlights. Level 3. Yeah, I'm pretty high. So here we are, pretty high.
This is the point where, at least for me, doing anything besides leisurely activities is hard. Not impossible, nor undoable, but hard. If we take that Amy Schumer comedy special for reference again, as for some reason I like doing, it might just maybe have become funny, but you also realize you just high, so you turn it off and watch something else. Also, this is the first level where some thoughts might have become uncontrollable in the senses you just can't help but dive deeper into the fact that the bomb dropped on Hiroshima was almost 1600 times less powerful than the Tsar bomb created and detonated by the Soviets in 1961 as a show of power to the US. But then you find out there's something called an antimatter bomb which could be even more destructive, but it's only a theory, but then maybe the US is developing it in Area 51 or something. Yeah, I think you get the point. But there is one sensation that is more powerful than your random thoughts, and that of course is the munchies. Coupled with the fact you're probably rocking some dry mouth right now, this in my opinion is the best level to be at if you're trying to stuff your face with enough trans fats to feed 50 hungry children. But you know, you already ate it also. Anyway, moving on to level 4. Faded beyond belief. This is the point where if you're not in a safe space, you kinda screwed. Well, not always, but at this level, it's become almost impossible to practice rational thinking. I mean, if you were diving deeper into that nuclear bomb stuff at the previous level, then this is a point where you might start actually believing you are Oppenheimer himself. This stage is really not the best if you're looking to focus on a movie or video game or really anything because, well, your attention span is at the mercy of the za, and to actually enjoy this high, you just gotta go with the flow. As for me, it's getting pretty hard to read the script. If I look at the words for long enough, they kinda look like some ancient Chinese hieroglyphs. But anyway, if you're an actual lunatic, maniac, psychopath, Zaza destroyer, and considering hitting that gravity one more time, then be prepared for level 5. Shadow Realm. I told you, bro, you gotta be a maniac to get to this level because the plane of existence you on now is so different from being non-high, you probably feeling and looking like a goddamn alien. I mean, bro, your eyes are so red and you feel so disconnected from your body that if you look in the mirror, you'll probably think, bro, is that really me? I'm so fucked up. Wait. Ah, shit, I'm in the Shadow Realm again, aren't I? And now that you realize you're in the Shadow Realm, you either stop the trip by going to sleep or level unknown, exploring the Shadow Realm. This level doesn't require smoking more. All it really requires you to do is just go outside and explore the world that in many ways has become the upside down from Stranger Things. Cause at this level, rational thinking has been completely thrown out the window and your brain has reverted to factory settings as of when you were just born. So if you see a streetlight flickering, for example, if you were normal, you just think, they really should fix that. Compared to now, oh shit, bro, this is totally one of those slasher scenes where once I walk over the streetlight, he's gonna shift me up, isn't he? Nah, man, fuck this, I'm out of here. At least, I don't know, that's how it feels to me when I achieve the pinnacle of high and am wandering the world outside.
You know, back in the day, if you wanted to get high discreetly, sorry bro, there was no way. I mean, you got the J, which stanks up everything. You got the bong, which although doesn't stank as much, where you gonna hide it? Imagine trying to sneak by your parents on some... What you doing dropping shit at a time like this, boy? Downstairs, I came for, I came down, I wanted a glass of water, yeah. Boy, you must be neurologically disabled if you think that'll excuse you from breaking some dusty-ass dollar store piece and spilling bong water all over my goddamn living room. No, it's... Here, take a smack of this shit. It'll get you proper, boy. Well, that sounds like a pretty fun... Anyway, point is, you're not gonna be hiding that shit for long. Only real option you had was the pipe. But bro, at that point, you sacrificing everything you got for one high. Like, I swear, the pipe is the last way anybody in their right mind wants to get faded. Every time I hit it, it's like my lungs and throat revert back to factory settings. Like I ain't never inhaled anything besides O2 before. Basically, by smacking the pipe, you're hurting your lungs and throat to the point it kind of fucks up the first 30 minutes of your high. And that's exactly why when the first Benjamin was invented by the scientists at Yodiland, It changed the game, bruh. Never before could you get obliterated on the go regardless of where you were or what you were doing. And thanks to that, getting high has become so damn easy, you got motherfuckers making obliteration their normal state. Never before could someone do anything even remotely sus and you could just assume they were fucking high. My man had sunglasses on for no reason, faded. Dude was staring somewhere for a bit too long, obliterated. Dude went to White Castle for a culinary experience. Well, that motherfucker's just weird. Goddamn cafeteria food. And you can forget about gas stations and fast food places. I mean, at this point, it's like damn near mandatory to be blasted on the job. And I got nothing against that, just since 90% of the time I find myself at 7-Eleven, I'm fried too, and the motherfucker that's supposed to be helping me is trying to scan my items with his damn iPhone. Nah, but for real, the pace that these fried motherfuckers work at is fine when your brain is running at the same low frequency, but if you're in a rush, it'll take damn near every ounce of mental strength you got to stop yourself from forcing a damn self-checkout.
Would you like a bag with that, sir?
Fuck no, here's the money, just give me my shit. But don't get me wrong, I got nothing against a good old Benjamin. There really ain't a better on-the-go, fast and easy way to get faded. Unfortunately, I didn't go to college and kinda cheated my way through high school too, so the 15 or so brain cells I was able to develop that keep me from losing and forgetting shit turned into, well, basically zero. And for that reason, I've already lost 2 of them. One of them slipped out my pocket while I was at the movies, and I'm pretty sure some teenagers stole it, cause after the film, when I was looking for it with my flashlight and shit, these motherfuckers were giggling in the back, looking at me like I was a damn circus clown. Coupled with the fact I was fried as fuck, I was fighting my tears. Dog. I just got robbed by some damn teens and I can't even do shit cause it was illegal to even bring it in there. Second one I lost in a very similar manner. As I was getting out my Uber going back home, my sweatpants did me dirty and flinged that fucker out as I was standing up. Took me 2 minutes to realize, and when I did, my Uber driver was probably already hitting that shit cause when I called him back to ask for it, he said,
Let me check. It seems that you only left me a $1 tip. Sorry, I couldn't find it.
And that one hurt the most because that was the first pen I ever had and the one I used for my first Benjamin adventure, which my first time was, well, by far the highest I have ever been in my life. I'm talking freaky, I'm talking third person. Shit, it was the first time in years I truly greened the thaw out. For you see, normal weed or bud is just that, normal. So the strength of it is confined in the realms of reality, unless you know it, it's moon rock. Anyway, the biggest difference between smacking a pen versus, let's say, a J is that the pen doesn't have normal bud in it. It has concentrate, which if you're unaware like I was, is about 10 to 20 times stronger than bud. Knowing that, the best way to get faded off the pen is by just taking small rips to avoid getting sent into the goddamn shadow realm. For example, the YouTuber Damien Luck 925 is very well known for taking multiple blinkers, which is the biggest hit you can take, outside in social situations, most notably in random classrooms, like it's nothing. So me being at my USA Airbnb alone in the confines of my living room, thought to myself, okay, so it looks like the basic hit I should do at least is 1 blinker, but probably more. Yet what was waiting for me on the other side of Blinker City was something I was not prepared for. Something unholy. The voices. I'll never forget the horrible things they were whispering. They made me almost delete my YouTube channel. Anyway, it started with me ordering a 1-gram pen off of Weed Amazon, and it arrived the very next day in a beat-up Cadillac with a delivery man who, from the looks of it, tests out every product he delivers just, you know, to make sure the quality is there. Yo, bro, you're here for the weed, right? You got the cash? Yeah, I ordered through your website, though. It should be paid for already. Yeah, I forgot I'd take online orders now, too. Anyway, here's the stuff, bro. I trust you. Hey, thanks, bro. Have a good one. You too, man. Hello, Mr. Bro. We got a delivery for you from Weed Amazon that should be arriving in an hour or so. Will you be home then?
Wait, didn't I just...
I'm a gorilla in a fucking scoop. Gonna pull up in the zoo.
Oh, I better get out of here.
So I went back to the crib, Benjamin in hand, and prepared myself to get faded. And obviously, I went for a blinker, my very first hit. But since I had never smacked a pen before, I inhaled it for about 4 seconds and stopped because it was so light on my throat, I thought it wasn't working, but it actually was. And from that 4-second puff, I was already quite bamboozled. But since I have this weird rule of every time I get new stuff, I break it in by doing a massive hit, I thought, well, fuck. I was supposed to do a blinker. And went for it again. I inhaled and inhaled for a good 8 to 10 seconds, but the thing just wouldn't fucking blink. It got to the point where there was tears coming from my eyes and my throat was begging me to stop, and it ended up like... I had made a grave mistake. I was so fucking high, I felt my soul leave my body. I was so high, I forgot I was even high. But it was just the beginning, cause over the next 10 minutes, I just kept on getting more faded, and the demons in my head kept on getting louder and louder. But if you know me, I kinda refused to green out, so I just kept on doing random shit like reading the ingredients list off my bag of M&Ms, reading the comments on my videos.
Change at Dark Blue. Do things has changed career. Imagine how being another YouTuber.
Kill yourself. Was not doing good. I was keeping a strong facade, but inside there was a war going on. I was feeling like Naruto with the Nine Tails, only instead of an all-powerful destructive force talking to me, I was just really fucking high. Anyway, so yeah, I was grading out, which hadn't happened to me in years, and I concluded that because the voice of reason was completely being outspoken by the voice of tweaking. The good news is though, the hype from the Benjamin doesn't last too long, and in about 1 to 2 hours, I had started coming down, but at that point, I was already crawled up in my bed, scrolling endlessly on my phone, until I finally reached a state where I felt good enough to come out of emergency mode and order some food and ate myself into a food coma. So I learned, well, firstly, that motherfucker Fulcrum is actually insane, or his tolerance is just something else, bro, and that the Benjamin is best enjoyed in puffs of 3 to 5 seconds and not blinkers.
The plug, a holy being that will always be there for you, especially when you don't need him, and also occasionally when you do. And because I don't live in the fancy America, where all the big vloggers and TikTokers are, I still rely on the plug for my Zaza. But after years of buying from different plugs, I always wondered how much money do these guys actually make, and what are the requirements to be successful in the profession? Well, finally, after the introduction of a new, scientifically enhanced type of grass, HHC, I kinda got the answer to these questions, and I'ma be honest with you, it ain't what I expected. As I said before, it all started with the introduction of the so-called new and improved ZA, HHC. And because it was new and regulations had not been set, even in my Stone Age country where an 18-year-old can buy a liter of vodka and drink himself to death, or just get hammered and get the sudden urge to call out the 6'5" undefeated heavyweight MMA fighter at the club because, well, when he sees red, bodies start dropping. Anyway, since this was legal and I am a law-abiding citizen who wouldn't even dare to jaywalk, I thought to myself, this is the perfect moment to see what being the plug is all about. Furthermore, because most dudes in this country don't know anything about strains, hash, bud, and just take whatever the plug has, I didn't need to worry about people thinking I scammed them. Also, your boy conducted a thorough inspection of this new product, using only the most delicate and scientific tools possible. Oh, okay, I hit that shit through a Red Bull canning. It kicked pretty nicely, so I dubbed it Verified Lab. After securing half an ounce of the Verified Lab, which is 14 grams in European tongue, I went to work on finding customers. And obviously the best place to start is on Snapchat. So I took a picture of the Zaza with the caption, $15 per gram, hit me up. Which is a steal, because, well, it sold for 20 a G here. And unfortunately, I only got one sale, cause I guess most of the people who I knew smoke Verified Lab were plugs themselves and knew of the existence of HHC and that it's like $6 a gram. But I was still determined to flip them packs and make them racks, so I hit up the most trustworthy plug I knew who actually had people in his contacts who smoked Verified Lab, but were not in the business of trapping themselves. After a thorough business meeting where we may or may not have smoked the grass ourselves, he conducted that the gas I had was indeed worthy of the title Verified Lab, and offered to buy it all for $12 a gram, which, I mean, I got it for 8.5, so I obviously said yes. At first I thought that was all. I made a nice profit of about $40 and was feeling good. But after about 2 days, I got a message from the plug I conducted business with reading, "Bro, that shit sold out quick. Can you order more? I think I can actually sell this stuff for 25 a G, cause people want the same stuff real bad. Now, I think you are currently pondering two questions. Why didn't he just order more himself? And how the hell did these dudes not know it was HHC? Well, the reason he didn't order more himself is quite simple. He is a full-time OG plug, so dudes does not have a bank account to order stuff. And to answer the second question, I truly don't know. I couldn't really believe it myself, but I guess most owners really don't give a fuck about news and staying up to date with it. In the words of the great plug himself, these dudes just wanna get as up as possible. They don't know nothing about no THC, HHC, CBD, BBC, NBA, MMA, nothing. Anyway, it all sounds great, right? Everybody loves the verified lab and are willing to pay premium for it. Plus, it's all technically legal and I don't even need to sell it myself. Well, it would have been, but there were two problems that made it a bit more sketch. You see, the issue with HHC is that it's a chemically produced product. All it actually is THC with a couple extra hydrogen molecules. And through thorough research, both practical and scientifical, I found out that HHC is very unstable in nature, meaning one patch of the same strain can truly be verified lab. But then the next patch made with the exact same ZA and same way could be some whack leftover Reggie. It's because it's very hard to control how well this hydrogen molecule binds to the THC, and not financially worth it to control the potency of each patch. So you could order that shit once and get some damn moon rock, or like the first experience I had with HHC, get some damn oregano. And the second problem was the plug I was conducting business with didn't want that risk all to himself, so I would have to cover the upfront costs of the HHC and then give it to him where he would hopefully flip it for 25 bucks a G, which I would receive 15 bucks a G and him 10. So here I was with quite the pickle of a conundrum. Should I order a whole ounce of HHC, which by buying an ounce you get the best price per gram, but I risk it being whack Reggie? Or should I just order a fourth, therefore lowering the risk of getting whack product, but also lowering the profit margins? And the conclusion I arrived at was the best of both worlds. I ordered half an ounce just like before. After receiving the good, I gave half of it to the trustworthy OG plug and waited for that passive income to roll in. But unfortunately, it was as I feared. The stuff I got this time was still good and solid, but it just wasn't the verified loud I received before. So the OG plug was having trouble marketing it as premium ZA and lowered the price to the industry standard 20 bucks a G. But unfortunately, dudes were catching on as well, and some of them refused to buy the ZA cause they could just order it online. Like, yeah, you can, but wouldn't you rather buy from your friendly neighborhood plug? I guess not, cause after a couple days, the OG plug sent me another message. Yo, this stuff ain't moving like before, and people catching on about the origins. I have half of the stuff left. If you want, I'll buy it out for 10 bucks a G, or just return it to you. Which I hesitantly chose the first option, so I had him just buy it out. Yet there was still the issue of the 7 Gs or so I had left, which I initially planned on flipping, but was unfortunately unable to, cause mofos knew I got that shit for pennies compared to the asking price. So I did as all plugs would do and dubbed the leftover HHC as my personal stash, and just started blazing my own product, which was kinda stupid in hindsight because a couple weeks after, HHC was illegalized, as we all knew it would be, and became a rarity in the ZA industry. Which mofos started flipping that shit for 30 bucks a G, like goddamn, it ain't even that different from normal ZA. Anyway, by the end of it all, I made a bit under $100 in profit, or in another metric, about 10 Gs of ZA, which I smoked myself. So really the conclusion to my plugging experience was I got free grass, which was a bit underwhelming cause I was hoping to become the local Pablo Escobar, if you know what I mean. Moral of the story is don't get high off your own supply, or at least if you want to be a businessman. Oh, and also don't sell illegal things, cause well, this HHC was legal, so I could have technically flipped it on Facebook Marketplace or something.
Do you smoke? A question that has been asked frequently ever since the early 1900s, but unlike the early 1900s where that question was mostly targeted towards cigarettes, these days, depending on your age and location of course, it probably means, do you enjoy sparking up a doozy at 8 PM to either watch Family Guy or ponder the meaning of life? no in between. Which, although smoking anything is harmful for us, I do believe we are moving in the right direction, aka the direction of less addictive cancerous chemicals. But don't get me wrong, Zaza is not good nor never will be good for your physical health. Although one can make the argument for mental health, only problem being 90% of that stems from I feel like it helps, or I'm happier when I'm high, which in no way confronts the root of the problem, but rather serves as a temporary solution. But who am I to tell you if you're smoking too much weed, bruh? You have to figure that out yourself, because every situation is different. What I can and will do in this video though, is outline every level of cannabis consumption, how they may affect your health and life, and give you a better understanding of when and how a semi-unhealthy controlled hobby can turn into a straight-up addiction, to hopefully educate the public about the most important thing when it comes to anything in life: moderation. So let's start off with level 1. A casual. The casual is someone who smokes up only on occasions and almost exclusively with friends or family. At this level, you might be sparking up once or twice a month when a homie invites you over to hang out. And the reality is, you don't even really care about the weed part so much as the hang out part. You understand that smoking isn't good for you, but you also know the person you chill with likes to do so. And who are you to tell your friend how he or she should live his life? This is truly a wonderful level to be at, as being high is always eventful and joyful. Unless, you green out. Anyway, I think this is obvious, but at this stage, you don't have your own bud, bong, or really anything related to the za, as your homie always just hooks you up. Which, unfortunately, most of us don't have a friend like that, or used to, but have since leveled up to the point that they're the ones hooking the homies up. But we all know free za always hits better. It's just one of those things. Level 2, the weekend smoker. The weekend smoker is someone who has evolved from only getting high for the sake of being on the same wavelength as the homie to someone who has grown to enjoy the effects of marijuana even alone. But don't get me wrong, you are still aware that smoking is not healthy, but you also know eating Ruffles is not healthy, doom scrolling is not healthy, yet you still do them from time to time. Getting high has become something you look forward to, but since you're not smoking up every night, it's usually always accompanied with some activity you have in mind, aka I can't wait for Friday so I can smoke up and play Minecraft. I'm excited for Saturday so I can smoke up and watch Dragon Ball Super. Something like that. At this level, you're also definitely not smoking up frequently enough to start worrying about the financial implications buying weed comes with. At most, you're getting an eighth once a week and rolling a couple J's, or maybe if your friend was generous, he'll give you his old bong.
Protected with your life.
Personally, this is the level I have tried to stay at, but well, it's kind of hard because at this point you have your own weed, and if you're doing something fun at night, it kind of tempts you to do it, well, high. And once you give into that temptation, you'll move up to level 3. The daily reward. You've come to really enjoy your weekend highs, so much so that you've decided, screw it, it's Tuesday, there'll be no hangover like with alcohol. Yeah, I'ma smoke up. I would consider this level the last one where you can still say you are not addicted, just really enjoy hanging around while high. The only problem being, weed has become an integral part of your routine, which has removed some of the wonder that accompanied it in the previous levels. As before, being faded got you moving extremely irregular, but since irregular depends on your perspective of regular and you're pretty regularly high, your actions while under the influence, although still fun, don't make you feel that, oh shit. Where I'm going with this is that before the idea of doing your daytime activities while high seems scary, now they kind of seem like they might be a bit more fun instead. Also, you now know about strains, hybrid, indica, sativa. All these terms mean something to you. You might even have multiple strains at the crib, and depending on your nighttime mood and plan, you'll indulge in the one that suits you best. Whether you're looking to unwind after a long day or energize for a night out, there's a perfect strain to match every occasion. But don't get me wrong, you're still using the za as a sort of reward for a hard day's work to relax and chill, so you still have self-control, which, well, kind of starts fading on level 4. Gee, why not? Why not, you think? I ain't really got nothing much to do anyway, I'll just do a quick rip and make it more enjoyable. Getting high during the day can be a slippery slope, cause once you do, you'll realize that, wow, this is kind of fun. and so you might start dedicating your sativa stash to your daytime adventures, but there is a catch, a rather steep price you must pay when you reach this level. Because you are now high during the day, smoking up at night loses that reward factor it used to have. You're slowly getting to the point where the feeling of normality is being faded, and due to that, getting high at the end of your day is just standard procedure, not your special fun time, if you get what I'm saying. Another huge difference that comes at this level is of course your tolerance, which has gone way up along with your money spent on weed, and to counteract those, you have had to start buying in bulk, so instead of eighths, you now have ounces. But holding so much bud is a double-edged sword, as having over an ounce available at any given time also messes with your sense of how much you're actually smoking. Whereas one full bowl of bud taken from a grinded eighth visibly decreases the amount you have left, a full bowl taken from a grinded ounce seems like nothing, which all of these things compound, kinda like the stock market. You're taking bigger and bigger hits each day, which most people would start to realize that at this point, it's kinda hard to label your Zaza destruction as a controlled hobby when you're not just high during your night goblin time, but also your daytime, and start lowering your consumption. But if you are not most people and still believe that you are in control, you'll move on to level 5. Zaza Fiend. A cigarette smoker can smoke a pack a day, which is not so good for your lungs. A Zaza Fiend can smoke 5 to 10 J's a day, which is also not so good for your lungs. Whereas before, you could point to that cigarette smoker and say, "You smoke the same amount in a day that I do in a month. We are not the same." Now you point at him and he points right back, which kinda sucks, not gonna lie. Being high has completely lost its wonder. It's more a monthly subscription to live your life normally and be in an alright mood now. You'll start to notice you got a bit of a cough. You got some stuck at the back of your throat pretty often, and you also can't remember what you did 2 days ago and beyond.
Oh no, I was high as balls.
You say jokingly, holding back your tears, because the reality is you weren't high as balls. You smoked a lot of weed, yes, but you weren't all that high, just normal high. Although you can't really get physically addicted to weed, you absolutely can mentally. I can quit at any time, you might think, and you could maybe, but oh boy, it will not be easy. Wanna play a game? Gotta get high. Wanna watch a movie? Gotta get high. Need to go to the store? Might as well get high. Everything is done high. Your lungs have not gotten a break to cleanse themselves, and your brain has not gotten a break either. In fact, it has gotten so used to being high, it feels pretty shitty without it. We could talk about your tolerance, but well, you probably know where that's at, on that maxed out endgame plus level. Personally, I've only ever gotten this far once, back when I was in high school and it was summer break, because I learned pretty quick that, well, it's by far the worst level to be at. You're smoking an insane amount, sometimes even back-to-back bong rips, but the feeling you get from it is not even that fun. On top of that, you're spending an unholy amount of money on bud. I mean, it's gotten so bad, your monthly Zaza costs might literally exceed your grocery budget. Got you setting aside half your paycheck just so you can feel okay. Might be time for a tea break, don't you think? All these levels are supposed to just give you a reference to where you're at, and the reality is you'll probably be bouncing around them, not stick to one forever. I usually try to keep my consumption on level 2 or 3, but that doesn't mean I don't dabble with the 4th level from time to time when, like, I don't know, a new Monster Hunter game comes out and I want to fully immerse myself in its world by getting an ounce of Zaza, locking myself in my gaming dungeon and going into goblin mode for a week. Just whatever you do, don't ever get to the last level. There's literally nothing positive about that place. Key takeaway, moderation is your best friend. Drunk versus high, the two most common altered states of being us humans indulge in, which, believe it or not, your preferred choice between these two vices can actually show a lot about your overall personality. For most of us, if you plan on getting high and hanging out, it means eating Doritos, rewatching Pineapple Express, and or playing video games. On the other hand, getting drunk and hanging out usually means stumbling around the club with your friends, yapping with strangers, trying to close a deal with potential prospects, and finally vomiting in the bathroom just to go back to the dance floor and repeating the previous steps until A, you close a deal with progressively less desirable prospects, or you strike out completely, go home, and brace for the hell that's waiting for you in the morning. But there is a lot more you need to take into account when comparing alcohol to weed, so today, for the sake of science and education, let's look at every major category and come to an unbiased decision on which of these substances is subjectively better, starting with the most important category, and that is the effect. You ever seen a dude faded beyond belief, hanging out and having a fun time with a dude that's drunk as fuck? The answer is probably no, because as I said earlier, the personalities of the two substances just don't mix very well. Being high is a combination of overanalyzing every thought you have and really going deep into your inner 10-year-old, which means laughing uncontrollably at a TikTok your homie sent you one moment and then the next remembering that we're all really just chunks of matter roaming an endlessly expanding universe without no clear purpose except enjoying your time alive. Ooh, funny cat video. And being drunk is the exact opposite in the way that instead of overanalyzing your decisions, you don't think about them at all.
You're telling me if I did a backflip off that table right now, I'd impress all the hoes?
Yeah, probably. You know how to do a backflip though?
Just watch.
Hey everybody, check this shit out.
Shit.
Bro, I thought you said you know how to do a backflip.
I never said I knew how to. I just thought I'd pull it off somehow.
Basically, being drunk makes you overconfident, unaware of your surroundings, numb social anxiety, and overall just makes you very spontaneous in your actions. But don't get me wrong, that's not always a bad thing per se, cause being drunk is fun as fuck. To be honest, in most social situations, it's probably gonna be way more enjoyable than being high. Just the way I see it, alcohol numbs your senses and worries, while makes you more aware of them. So although in the long term, smoking grass is probably less harmful to your overall life, that's not what we're comparing here. So a bit of a controversial take maybe, but alcohol wins this category 1-0 booze. But now let's look at the thing that comes a couple hours after the effect. And that's the after effect / hangover. Not gonna dwell on this subject for too long, as I think we all know where this is going. If you get shit-faced drunk on Friday, you're gonna be fighting the urge to yourself on Saturday. Oh, okay, that might be a bit of an over-exaggeration, but it's low-key true. Because you see, ethanol, aka alcohol, is literally poison, and when you drink too much of it, you're gonna feel like you've been poisoned. Like shit, who would've thought? And with weed, of course, there is no hangover whatsoever. Well, not really, because if you ever gotten absolutely annihilated to the point your body switches to autopilot before, then you know after waking up the next day, there is a high possibility you'll experience low energy, haziness, brain fog, and worst of all, the desire to get smacked again in the morning so you can binge watch season 1 of SpongeBob and ignore all your goals and aspirations. But that is a lot better than feeling so awful that you become a devoted Christian overnight and start begging God for mercy.
My head hurts so bad. I know I haven't reached out in a while, God, but please end this suffering, and I promise I'll never drink again.
Hey bro, wanna go to Lucy's place today? Everybody's coming. It's supposed to be a crazy party. Yeah, let's go. So even though the grass isn't the miracle plant some people believe it to be, I'd still say it's the clear winner in this category. 1-1 all tied up. Now let's look at cost. In the previous comparison of weed versus nicotine, I went through all the levels of consumption to figure out which one is cheaper, but with this one, comparing just the cost of the booze versus the Zaza isn't gonna cut it. Because you see, on a night out where you get wasted, I'd say maybe like 20% of the actual money spent is gonna be on alcohol you yourself consumed, with the rest going to entry fees into clubs, buying shots for them hoes, expressing your love to the homies by buying them drinks, and other stupid shit people tend to do when drunk. Also, unless you're a straight up bum or functioning alcoholic, you're not gonna be drunk every day. Instead, if you love drinking and partying, you'll be drunk every weekend. Or the other possibility is, of course, you drink a couple beers every night at the end of your day, which the best way to tell if you fall into this category is go look in the mirror, and if you have a dad bod, then yeah, you're probably in it. With smoking though, your primary cost is gonna be in the itself, ranging anywhere from $40 a month if you only blaze on the weekends with your homies, all the way up to like $500 a month if you're getting high every day. Which this category is quite hard for me to pick a clear winner because it really just depends on your personality and self-control when drunk. So I'ma leave it at a tie. I'm sorry, it's the only way to be fair. 2-2, we're still tied. Now time for addictiveness. I think the best way to answer this question is by looking at what these substances do to you, starting with alcohol. The saying, drink away the pain, exists for a reason. Alcohol is a numbing agent. It numbs your senses, numbs your brain, numbs your body, and it numbs the pain. Basically meaning you can drink away your problems for the night, which if that isn't enough of a red flag, it also has some pretty major withdrawal symptoms if you decide to stop being an alcoholic one day. And although with
there can also be withdrawal symptoms, it's a bit harder to get that far, and from what I've digged up, they're not as hard to overcome. Although, take that with a grain of salt because the research on this field isn't super conclusive yet. But if alcohol is a numbing agent, then what is the ganja? Glad you asked. In my opinion, the Zaza is an amplifier, so if you're sad and dealing with some serious emotional damage and then smoke a doozy, you're gonna be even more sad and the emotional damage will feel much worse. Obviously, if you get so blasted you switch to manual breathing, it can also numb the pain to some regard, but that's only because your brain puts your trauma aside to focus on surviving the high, and it's not like it's always gonna do that, it might actually just make you focus on your misery even more. That being said, I'ma give this point to the Zaza, because although saying isn't addictive is false, it is still less so than alcohol. So 3-2, the grass is finally winning, but maybe this next category will tie it back up. Variety.
This is a very interesting category because both alcohol and weed have variations. For bud, that usually means is it sativa or indica? What's the THC percentage? What strain is it? And for alcohol, it's about the same, as in what percentage of alcohol is the drink? Is it vodka? Is it tequila, beer, etc.? So both have variety, but there's one major difference that, in my opinion, pushes one of these substances over the hump to victory. Unlike alcohol, which you can only drink or technically eat, but well, nobody's really doing that. Anyway, with weed, you have many ways of consumption. Eat, drink, smoke, vaporize. You can even use a tincture and drop some highness right on your tongue. And although alcohol does have some variety in its effects, it's usually always about the same compared to the za, where if you're smoking some Cali sativa exotic, it's gonna be noticeably different to some standard indica. And for that reason, I have to give this one to the Zaza.
Part 2 does Mary Jane still undefeated. So yesterday I was packing myself a big ol' hit as per usual and thought to myself, man, I'm really hitting the za from this wacky silicone machine crafted laboratory grade piece. Like, what happened to the Apple BONG, the can BONG, the good old spliff? And so today I'm coming at you with the 5 levels of smoking grass and how your equipment to do so evolves, along with your mindset and shit. Starting with level 1, the noob. This is the level where you still think the za is some type of magical space unicorn shit, cause well, you've never done it, but your friends say it's crazy. So one day, you and the boys hear of a dude called Dragon selling grass in the school bathroom, so you band your money together and go acquire the grass. Once obtained and a safe area found, your friends are like, how are we gonna smoke this? Which, depending on where you're at, you're gonna end up either with a crappily handcrafted spliff or an aluminium can with holes in it. Whichever one you choose, you're gonna get faded in a hoe that night and either fly with the happy space unicorns or get tortured by thoughts like, I hope my mom doesn't call me right now. Is this ever gonna wear off? Was 9/11 an inside job? And if your first experience was the latter, then you probably didn't advance to the next level, at least for a while. But if you had a fun old time and continue to smoke up with your buddies, at some point you'll find yourself at level 2. Why does she always make my throat burn? After a while of smoking the za from spliffs or from some shitty Mountain Dew can, you finally think to yourself, maybe I should invest in something that makes it so my throat doesn't want to eat itself inside out every time I take a hit. So you go online and buy the cheapest BONG you can find. Excited to use your new acquired technology, you invite your friends over and get faded in a hoe yet again. But it's different this time, because the BONG doesn't destroy your throat as much, you can actually kinda take consecutive hits. So being the genius you are, you do that and ascend into Yodi Land for the first time. After the ascension, you begin to wonder though, how high can a mortal man truly be? Which the answers to those questions are still a ways away, but after a quick Google search of how to get more high, you discover something called the Gravity BONG, and soon after go into level 3, the Zaza Man. Eager to try out your newfound powers of gravity control, you yet again invite your friends over and take a smack dabbly do off that thing. Which what follows is actually not as crazy as before, cause even though you all did get faded than a hoe, you also got sleepier than a hoe and got knocked out on the couch pretty fast. So you vow that the next time you use the powers of gravity, you'll drink an energy drink or something so you won't fall asleep like a baby. Even though it is pretty nice sleeping like a baby. Anyway, at this point, your friends are probably like, yeah, nah, that's a bit much. But because you're a crusader and haven't yet learned the lesson of moderation, you still want to get even more faded. So back to Google, and now you find yourself basically with two options, edibles or dabs. But because this is the 5 levels of smoking grass, let's just say you chose the dab pen. And shortly after, you move to level 4. The Fortnite cart. After the obtaining of the Benjamin, you test it out with your friends and you get faded in a hoe yet again. But the reality is your friends just want to smoke normal za cause the Benjamin kicks too hard for them. But you still haven't learned moderation, so you call them wackos and waddle your way to Benjamin City alone. While at Benjamin City, you're like, more high, must get more high. And there's only one more item to fill your never-ending quench for tolerance destruction, and that is level 5. Bro, what the fuck? You got a damn science station here with dab rigs? They're, well, unnecessary is a way to put it. I mean, bro, you know she has gone too far when you gotta look at the instructions on how to get high. Plus, your friends don't even really want to try it out anymore and urge you to go on a tea break, which, after realizing that all your money has been going to your need to get higher and higher, you're kind of forced into one, which, after, hopefully you'll move on to final level. Ascend it. Finally, you realize smoking za isn't just about getting as high as possible, because every situation has its own limits of fadedness. So if you're just going out on a night out with your homies, best thing to do is to smoke a spliff. If you don't want to get faded in a hodo at home, do the gravity, and so on. The true power you have over all the other levels though is you've already gone through all of them, knowing that you can manage your tolerance correctly and smoke up with the appropriate tools for the appropriate situations.
Smoke weed every day. To some, this is their mantra, and to others, it is just something they said in 4th grade to sound cool, along with, of course, fuck it and getting money. But did you know, smoking weed isn't just some 21st century trend where after COVID everyone just realized, man, this sucks. Yo, did you hear? The lockdown is ending next week. We finally get to leave our rooms. Man, this sucks. No. People have been getting high off that homegrown natural supply for decades, centuries, dare I say millennia. And over these countless years, a lot of the people who shaped our history also shaped finely ground botanical matter tightly packed within a thin, often translucent paper forming a perfect tube. AKA a joint. I'm saying they smoked weed, okay? Anyway, some of these people we can confirm to have consumed the Lord's loud, and the others we, well, unfortunately just have suggesting evidence for, and one will be complete speculation by me, which, try and guess which one of them is which, I'll also tell you at the end of the video. First up, William Shakespeare. The idea that William Shakespeare may have smoked cannabis stems from findings in the early 2000s where scientists discovered pipe fragments in Shakespeare's garden. These pipes contain traces of cannabis, among other substances. While there is no direct evidence that Shakespeare himself used cannabis, the presence of these compounds has led to speculation about whether he might have experimented with that top-shelf Zaza. This theory is further fueled by some interpretations of his writings, such as in Sonnet 76, where he mentions invention in a noted weed, which some suggest could be a subtle nod to using weed as a source of creative inspiration. However, these are only speculations and there's no conclusive evidence to confirm them. Me, however, have no doubt in my mind that that man at least once in his lifetime got faded in a hoe. I mean, they found signs of cannabis among other substances, suggesting to me that one of Shakespeare's friends like Thomas Green or James Burbage once brought Shakespeare some weed not knowing what it was, and after getting high, Shakespeare was all like, to be or not to be, got rich and famous, and then went his entire life trying to find more weed, hence the other substances found in that pipe. But hey, that's just a theory, a high theory. But now, let's talk about Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria might not be the first person you'd imagine puffing on a joint, but history has its surprises. Back in the Victorian era, our dear Queen was quite the savant when it came to pain management. Prescribed cannabis by her royal physician, Sir J. Russell Reynolds, Victoria reportedly used it to relieve menstrual cramps. This makes her one of the earliest known VIPs of the Medical Marijuana Club, proving even monarchs need a little herbal relief now and then. No word on whether it made court affairs more amusing, but one could certainly hope. Although this one is proven to be true, unlike Shakespeare, it isn't quite as, well, entertaining is the right word, I guess, as there really is no proof that she ever smoked that OG, just put a few drops under her tongue. Did she ever have the munchies? Did she ever get intentionally high before, let's say, a play to make it more enjoyable? I guess we'll never know. One can only ponder about the royal rotation. George Washington. Ah, the $1 bill, America's first president and perhaps its first agricultural innovator in the realm of hemp. In his days, tending to the vast fields of Mount Vernon, Washington got quite savvy with his crops, particularly hemp, which was used primarily for industrial purposes like making ropes and fabrics. But here's a little historical nugget. Washington wrote about separating male from female hemp plants. Now, to the untrained eye, this might just seem like good old farming, but those in the know might wink at the idea that George was onto something more recreational. I mean, why else fuss over female plants known for their higher THC content? Well, there's no smoking gun, or smoking pipe as it were, to prove he partook himself. It does raise eyebrows, and maybe even a few smiles at the thought of the father of his country partaking in a bit of the herb. Of course, there are some other reasons why George could have wanted to separate female plants from male ones, but I just can't imagine being so into weed farming and not even once being curious enough to smoke it. Can you? Probably not. So conclusion, I think he smoked. You think he smoked? He smoked. Herodotus. Often dubbed the father of history, he had quite the knack for detailing the quirky habits of ancient cultures. In his tales, he mentions the Scythians, a group that really knew how to throw a smoky party. They weren't just tossing burgers on the grill, but were burning cannabis seeds to whip up a bathhouse-style smoke fest. Imagine this, ancient warriors chilling in felt tents, getting secondhand highs from hotboxing with hemp. Which leads us to Alexander the Great. Some cultures around his empire used cannabis, such as the Scythians, who, as I mentioned earlier, Herodotus noted used it in steam baths. However, there are no records or indications that Alexander himself used cannabis. His conquest did bring him into contact with many different peoples and cultures, so it's likely he was aware of various herbal practices. However, connecting him directly to cannabis use is, well, fight on! Light on. Unlikely. Louis Armstrong. The jazz virtuoso with a trumpet and a grin as wide as the Mississippi had a special relationship with gauge, his preferred term for marijuana. Armstrong wasn't just casual about his cannabis. He considered it essential to his music and well-being. He famously said that it made him feel good, didn't make him mad, and that he couldn't forget it even if he tried. So integral was marijuana to his routine that he wrote to President Eisenhower advocating for its legalization. We always looked at pot as a sort of medicine, a cheap drunk, and with much better thoughts than one that's full of liquor. Wise words if I do say so myself. For Armstrong, weed was a part of the jazz lifestyle, keeping him cool in the face of the era's hot prejudices and even hotter jazz clubs. Carl Sagan. The Cosmos' personal tour guide was not only fascinated by the stars, but also by the starry effects of marijuana. Under the nom de plume, Mr. X, aka Sagan, extolled the virtues of weed in an essay that spoke of it as both a source of profound philosophical insights and a simple pleasure. He argued that cannabis had a remarkable power to enhance curiosity, appreciation for art, and sensory experiences, essentially deepening the user's connection to the universe. His private use of cannabis was a tool for scientific meditation and personal enlightenment, a kind of mental spacecraft exploring the uncharted territories of the human mind, all while maintaining a vigorous career in astrophysics. What a G! His appreciation for weed was not just about enjoyment, but also an intellectual pursuit, adding a layer of contemplation to his stargazing. This one is one of my favorites because it really just proves that weed doesn't make a hardworking person lazy, it makes a lazy person lazier. And in the case of Mr. X, no, not you Elon Musk, Carl, it's awesome to see an advocate for weed that isn't a rapper or a retired athlete, but an esteemed astrophysicist. No, not you either, Neil deGrasse Tyson, we all know how smart you are. Final person on our list, and the most prominent in Zaza use. Everything he described makes sense to me, as although I'm not hippie enough to say my Zaza destruction is due to me wanting to deepen my connection to the universe, I do however prefer to play No Man's Sky high as balls. Thanks for watching. Oh, and Alexander the Great was the fake one. He didn't smoke up. Sorry.
If you've ever bought from a plug, you probably know about that teeny tiny voice in your head that goes, "What if it's laced, bro?" And although 99% of the time that's just you being paranoid, the other 1% it might be warranted. Which brings me to the time I was dead certain the grass I bought was laced. But you know, I still smoked it. The day started like any other. I woke up, ate my Captain Crunch, worked out, made some videos, and now after a productive day, was looking for some za to smoke up and watch some Elon Musk vs. Zuckerberg fight breakdown videos. Personally, I got the Reptile King on this one. Anyway, the bad news was, I was out of grass. And even worse, the plug I usually buy from wasn't answering, so I had to get creative. First, I tried to scrounge up a hit from smacking
stacking the shit out of my grinders and using a cart to move it together like I was about to do a line in the back of the nightclub. But alas, after all my effort, I was left with only a smidgen of a hit that was 50% dust and dirt. So although I really didn't want to do it, I knew I had to start asking around for a new plug. And so I did. And after about 30 minutes, I was given the Snapchat of a seemingly high-level devious criminal. And I concluded that by his Snapchat username, which was free straight money emojis. And I'm guessing he chose this name just so everyone knew. I am a drug dealer and I make a lot of money. I shot him a message reading, "Yo, can I get one?" hoping that he would respond unlike all my other plugs. And just a few minutes later, I was blessed by a message reading, "Yeah, nice." All I needed to do now was ask when and where, which he responded swiftly with an address that was very close. So I hopped in my Urus. Sorry, I have a Lamborghini Urus. Yes, this is a fact. Spread the word, guys. And pulled up on the spot where I was expecting to greet a killer tattoo. Nah, actually, I'm too experienced now. I knew it was gonna be some high school kid. They're the ones who always use emojis for their plug Snapchats. And it was exactly what I thought. A scrawny looking kid with glasses pulled up, dropped the bag in my car, and dipped. Well, I also gave him the money, but nothing really different or alarming had happened during this altercation. As I was driving back home, though, I took a quick little sniffington from the bag, and well, that shit was smelling a bit sus. I can't quite describe the smell cause it did stink like good za. There was just a certain chemically fragrance to it as well. But regardless, I brought that za home and before I smoked, I did a bit of googling.
How to know if your grass is laced? You can tell if your bud is laced by putting it in water and seeing if anything melts out of it.
Bruh, ain't no way I'm putting this grass in some goddamn water.
Ah, fuck, it seems good to me.
So yeah, I didn't really practice a lot of precaution. I mean, worst case scenario, I accidentally smoked crack. But anyway, I loaded up the hit and took a smack dabbly do off that thing. And at first, I couldn't really tell nothing was wrong. I mean, I was on the couch feeling like a medium rare filet mignon, but that's just being baked. Until I suddenly started getting real paranoid for no reason. Like, not paranoid in what if it was laced, but paranoid in...
Hey, what the fuck was that?
Hello? I'll have you know I'm a certified demon hunting boxing champion, bruh. I'll knock your nun-ass out in an instant. Oh, hell nah. And yeah, you saw correctly. This got a grown-ass 6'6" athletic specimen of a man to go under his blanket cause he thought he heard a monster, bruh. And I swear, for the entirety of the night, I was low-key hearing things like I was an inmate in Arkham Asylum or something. So, safe to say the whole mellow me out part was negated by the paranoid demon fearing. At some point though, I got a serious case of the munchies, and I knew I had to leave my safe zone, aka my blanky wanky, and go downstairs to raid the fridge. And so I did, but this fucking dimensional rift grass got me bugging out, bro. I was feeling like I was 7 years old again, afraid of the boogeyman coming to take me away. Thankfully, I was able to tweak my way to 2 hood dogs and a couple of sugar sandwiches. Recipes I developed myself. Watch the video in the top corner if you want to know more. But once I got the food on my plate, I ran back upstairs being real careful not to stay in the darkness for too long. Basically, I was this old Vine video. Worst part was though that this so-called laced grass didn't let me sleep either. Like literally, I almost pulled an all-nighter looking like Golem up in my room. Until at 7 AM, I did finally somehow hit the hay. Anyway, this is the only time I ever actually believed grass to be laced, cause it just seems unprofitable to actually do that shit, but I'm still not sure. It might have just been some mighty paranoid demon grass. I guess we'll never know, cause the experience was awful enough for me to flush that shit down the toilet. RIP 0.8 Gs, bruh. And obviously, I removed that new plug from my friends list, cause I'm not trying to be the victim of our town's first supervillain, cause if that shit was indeed laced, no way I'm about to go buy some Joker gas from Dollar Store Heath Ledger again.
I think a lot of you guys can relate when I say I f***ing hate nicotine. No, I mean I love it, but I actually really hate it. And if you watch my Types of Nicotine Addicts video, you know that I consider myself a seasonal addict, so pretty much I might be nic-free for a whole 3 months or something, but then fall back into the trap like, life is so stressful right now, I swear, I got so many problems and worries. I wish I could just somehow relieve some of this stress. Preferably in blueberry flavor. And then I have to start fighting my own damn brain cause it just starts telling me reasons why I deserve that blueberry stick. You haven't vaped for months. Just buy one, come on. You had a rough day. You deserve it. You have a long day ahead of you. It would be much easier with a little bit of cancerous chemicals.
Like, no. F you, brain. I shall not fall under your illusions again.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But fool me.
Well, shit.
And I don't even know why. Like, whenever I have something I need to do that I don't really feel like doing at the time, my brain automatically gives me the signal to go buy some Nick. Like, why? It doesn't actually make the task easier. Shit, all it actually does is make it harder, cause you get all lightheaded and dizzy. Every time I get a week or more off the stuff, I feel great and am as productive as ever, but for some reason, my mind still believes if I just had some nicotine, I would be even more productive. It's kinda the same with grass though, cause I always feel like I'm getting shit done when I'm high, but in reality, I'm working at like 30% capacity, but it just feels like I'm working at 200, cause the za makes everything feel so significant, even just doing a small amount of work feels like you just finished studying for them Harvard entrance exams, fool. Anyway, back to nicotine and how I got accidentally addicted to it again. So basically what had happened was I was just doing what I normally do, you know, making videos and shit, when suddenly I was invited to a barbecue. And you know, me being the CBD bro I am, I ain't really wanna go cause I had shit to do. Plus, you know, everybody was drinking there and I was just trying to smoke that grass. But reluctantly, I accepted, and not to my surprise, everybody there was consuming that Nick one way or the other. And well, long story short, I cracked and took a nicotine pouch from one of the people there. Well, by the end I took like 7 or 8, but that doesn't matter. And my dumbass thought, well okay, just one day. But then the next day I went out with some friends and by the gods, 2 of them were also carrying nicotine pouches, so obviously I did some more. And then the same thing happened the day after that, and by the end of it all, I just went ahead and bought a fucking Elf bar. Cause I guess all it takes to go from months clean to Elf bar in your pocket sucking on a colorful stick when stressed unable to control your urges hobgoblin is 2 days of stuffing your gums with nicotine pouches. Thankfully, I didn't let myself go too far, cause after that Elf bar, I didn't buy any more, but instead placed myself in specific social situations where I was able to receive free nicotine pouches from others. And that's what I'm on at the time of this video as well. So basically, I don't have my own vape or whatnot, but every time I go somewhere where someone does, you better believe I'm asking for a quick hit. But don't worry, I try not to be too much of a goblin, so usually I cash app like $2 to the dude I'm borrowing the vape from. It's kinda hard though trying to explain to people like, yeah, I don't vape. Only when someone else has a vape, then I vape quite a bit. But hey, that's what's helped me quit nicotine like 5 times by now, although I always end up coming back to it after a couple months. Nonetheless, it helps because in order to get my nicotine kick, I have to go out and socialize, which can be quite hard if you also want to be faded and watch Star Wars Fury at home. So a lot of times, I just don't go and therefore don't vape. It's only when my nicotine addiction outweighs my desire to be high at home when I go out and vape. And because I'd rather watch Disney Plus and munch on some Doritos than just sit somewhere and suck on a nicotine stick, I've been able to control my nicotine addiction quite well, I think.
The first high, a core memory, and whether you enjoyed it or not doesn't really matter, cause for 95% of people, their first time literally shapes their entire opinion on the grass. Almost everybody who isn't age 50 or over and says, weed is the work of the devil, and should be more illegal than even meth. Well, actually it is. The za is Schedule 1 and meth is Schedule 2, so... Yeah, that's right. That's why I love America. Greatest damn country in the world.
USA! USA! USA!
Anyway, what I was saying was that most people who tweak their first time are put off by it for a while and shape into za haters, and people who have fun their first time, believe it or not, don't all become mindless junkies who eat Little Caesars and watch SpongeBob all day. Rather, when asked their opinion on weed, they'll probably just say,
my stomach turned into an endless void with an unquenchable hunger for anything edible, which was followed by a sleepiness so uncontrollable I passed out halfway and to my 25th Twinkie. It was pretty fun.
So obviously me, CBD bro, who runs an entire YouTube channel dedicated to the green plant, must have had the latter experience, right? Well, not really. As you see, when I was but a wee lad, uncontaminated by the forbidden fruits of the world like alcohol, nicotine, and yes, weed, always believed that alcohol makes you homeless, nicotine makes you a little bitch, and weed makes you lazy. Thinking that, I didn't want to waste not just my first high, but my very first time feeling anything besides normal on eating Doritos and watching Family Guy. Which, after turning 17, I decided it was about time I lost my substance virginity and planned to do so on Christmas dinner, where I was gonna let El Marijuana put its big, fat, thick, juicy, delicately rolled J in my mouth, but only after I had eaten, as I believed if my tummy was full, I wouldn't get the munchies and could instead contemplate the meaning of life my time high. And thankfully, I had an older brother who was more than willing to give me a puff or two from his Christmas dinner J for $4, the fucking cheapskate. So we went upstairs and started puffing, which Rezex was instantly bamboozled from the magic grass. Nice, it's not a dud. Now it's my turn. I grabbed the J and puffed until I could puff no more. And the result was, I didn't feel a damn thing. Still had to pay the $4 though. Fucking bullshit. Anyway, as we went through the day, I got increasingly more jealous of my brother, who by his words was fried AF. I was beginning to think maybe I'm immune to getting high, which after telling my brother this theory, he concluded that I'm stupid and just didn't inhale the za in my lungs, and so generously told me to follow him upstairs, where he gave me a couple more puffs for an extra $4, the damn venture capitalist. As I was smoking away, keeping in mind to inhale it all the way down to my lungs, I still wasn't feeling anything, and my hopes of getting fried AF were beginning to look more like a distant dream. When I finished puffing, I sat down at the computer to look at some of those watch while high videos, and my brother asked me, "So, you feel anything now?" No, I don't. What's this weird I'm not sure. I don't know, seems to me you're fried like some Kentucky chicken, boy. I was indeed fried, and incredibly so. Although I didn't smoke a ton, my body had never experienced anything besides a sugar rush and maybe a caffeine kick. So as I was watching this watch while you're high video, I was laughing at everything and was tripping the fuck out. But not in a bad way, it was freaking amazing. Being high was what I always imagined it to be until... Bloop. I'm sober again. Yeah, you heard right. My first high lasted like 30 seconds, and in an instant, I was back to normal, which I don't know why. Even to this day, when I tell people about this, nobody can relate because no one has experienced this phenomenon. But since I'm a scientist, I have developed a super duper concrete theory backed by quantum mechanics and the late great Stephen Hawking on my experience, and overall the reason why a lot of people who smoke their first time don't feel anything. I theorize that all humans have a natural block against foreign substances, a wall per se, and when an individual inhales za, the particles act kind of like micromissiles targeting your cannabinoid receptors. For the people whose defensive wall is strong enough, it will stop all perpetrators attempting to infiltrate your brain. But this wall isn't regeneratable, so if the micromissiles fail to get you fried at first, the next time they'll have an easier time against your already damaged wall of defense. Now, I bet you're thinking to yourself, this mofo been smoking too much of that Einstein pack. And to you, I say maybe, but also I have practical proof of this theory. I used to be a pro baller, and one day me and a couple hooper friends who all have great immune systems and therefore probably good za defensive walls decided to smoke up, and to my buddies, it was their first time. Once we lit the J and passed it around, I made sure to tell everybody to inhale the smoke in their lungs, which I'm pretty sure they all did, but still, I was the only one who got high, cause it wasn't my first time. But when I smoked up with some of my non-athlete first-timer friends, they all got high like normal. So, conclusion, defensive saw wall is a real thing and I stand by my theory. Anyway, although that was my first time feeling high, I wouldn't call it my first high because it only lasted for half a minute. My first real high experience was something even more memorable and etched to my brain until I die. A couple weeks after the last incident, me and Rizex decided it was about damn time I actually felt the true love and touch of the Mary Jane. And this time, instead of having only scratch scraps of za, we bought a whole gram to hopefully destroy my highly speculative za wall. I think it's real. Also, at this time, we were obsessed with freestyle rapping, so we decided the plan of action was to smoke up, eat candy, and rap battle to copyright-free beats while recording it, so we could listen to our unreleased tracks in the morning. Since our parents were away for the night, we got the whole apartment to ourselves, and planned on rolling 2 J's, both containing 0.5 G. Since we were petrified at the thought of getting caught blazing, instead of being sensible and smoking the J's near a window and just blowing the smoke out, we put our jackets on and walked 500 feet away from the apartment to light up, just to be sure that there wouldn't even be a microfiber of evidence that we were smoking the devil's lettuce. As we were consuming the J, all I could hope for was that this time I wouldn't just get a limited free trial, but the actual full version. But alas, when we finished puffing the J, I again felt nothing, or at least that's what I thought, cause as we arrived back home, I finally realized that,
so you feeling it? Yeah, kinda.
Sometimes the high hits you a couple minutes later, especially if you're going from outdoors to indoors as we did. And my highly accepted theory in the science community about this phenomenon is that through evolution, we have always considered indoors to be our safe zone and outdoors dangerous. Therefore, when you're outside, your brain doesn't allow the full faded and relaxed effect to take over, probably in anticipation of a roadman coming and chefing you up with the mandem. Okay, this one I'm not so confident in, and I have to come clean. I am in no shape or form associated with the science community. Yet. Anyway, now that we were high and in the living room, we started putting on some beats and freestyling, and to this day, I have yet to replicate the skill and precision of my flow that high. It's hard to explain, but nowadays, I can't rap for shit. I mean, I'll spit one line and be like, yo, I've been getting money making racks, cause you know I'm flipping packs. That's facts. Yeah, that's it. Basically, I run out of rhymes pretty fast, but that day, I did not. In fact, even when my brain had nothing to say, my mouth rapped it for me. I turned into a freestyling robot and became dead sure that I was gonna make it out by dropping a mixtape and becoming a famous rapper. Until we listened to the recording in the morning and realized, yo, flowing on the go, your girl she a hoe, making money dancing with a pole, my girl making dough while doing lines of blow, cause we in the penthouse baby, living life, and that's for show.
Yeah, I'll try YouTube instead.
What's crazy though is that after that, I was never able to replicate the auto rapping again, so my rap career never flowered, but who knows, maybe I'll try to convert this channel into lyric videos and shitposting, all while steadily alienating my audience and killing my channel. Or maybe I should just make a separate channel for that?
Everybody's first time doing edibles is always the same. First you eat them, then you wait for like 25 minutes, then you confidently proclaim, "These edibles ain't shit." Bruh. And then for the next couple hours, you just drift away further and further into that. The government are reptiles, the ocean is fake, the earth is a cube, and I must slay the Ender Dragon tonight. In my case, my first edibles really weren't shit, cause we accidentally might have forgotten them in the oven and burnt that THC into CO2, but we didn't let that discourage us from trying again the next day. So me and my brother, still fueled by the disappointment of yesterday, wake up at 9 AM and start plotting our next move. We only have 1 gram left, so if this fails, we're pretty much screwed. One thing you might not know about making edibles is if you're throwing straight grass in the oven like we did, then be prepared for the whole house to smell like Snoop Dogg's living room. So we had to carefully time our cooking so that when our parents got home, the house wouldn't smell like the plug's car, if you know what I mean. And this time, we did everything right, and after an hour of feeling like the stoner versions of Gordon Ramsay, we held the finished product in our hands. But before we devoured the THC cookies, we decided to go to Grandma's place, because she lived in the countryside and it was a beautiful day, so we thought it would be nice and chill there. Also, Grandma always is strapped way up with the candy, the cakes, the chicken, the steak. She got all the munch a man could ask for. So we're driving 20 minutes away and decide to eat them Eddies, so that by the time we're there, it should start kicking. Yet, when we arrive, we still feel nothing. We say hi to Grandma and sit down in the living room. Bro, maybe we messed him up again. Nah, I don't think so. We did everything by the recipe this time. Yeah, let's wait a little more. It's been 40 minutes though. Should be feeling something at least. Yeah, I feel you. Well, anyway, I'm gonna go take a shit. So I hop in the bathroom to empty my system real quick, and I suddenly feel it. Bruh. Then I hear some music coming from the living room and get intrigued. I finish my business with the toilet and go to the living room to find my brother jamming it out to some old ass radio playing some Elvis Presley or something. I want to call him a dumbass, but I can't cause my body starts moving by itself. This music is peak, there is nothing better. Until the next old song comes on and it slaps harder than Chris Brown in 2009. I'm obviously talking about his music in 2009, not the incident with Rihanna. At some point, we had had enough of the old-timey radio, so we turned it off and sat down on the couch to discuss our next move. So, how high are you? Yeah, I'm high. Yeah, me too. Real question is, do we take the second cookie? Now, we had baked 4 edibles total, so we had 2 left. We didn't plan on eating them that day though, because from what we had heard, edibles are supposed to hit their max in like 3 hours after consumption, so obviously I answered, I think we should, bro, for science. We took the second cookies out of their folium wrapping and ate them with some milk. Then we decided to go swimming, cause shit, why not I guess. As we're walking to the pond, I suddenly think to myself, am I cold? And then it hits. I start shivering and feeling like a warm pizza roll in the freezer. I'm not supposed to be here. I can't go on, I say. I'm too cold. My brother looks at me with disappointment in his eyes like, so that's all you can take. A tinsy-pincy little edible and you get scared of the cold, eh? Now, keep in mind, this was when I was 18 and I wasn't quite the 420 god I am today, so I had this thing where if I got really high and it wasn't walk around in your boxers type of warm, I'd start overthinking that I'm cold and then I'd actually start feeling cold. But I said to myself, no, I won't let these edibles control me. And I decided to push through the unwavering cold and fight my inner demons at the little pond over there. So we pull up to the pond and it's time to go swimming. And it wasn't that bad actually. The water was pretty warm and once I got used to it, I stopped shivering. So pretty much the edibles had cured my crippling fear of the cold. We start walking back to the house and so far I thought I was suited to the max. But then the second eddy kicks. And bro, this was the high I had read about but never believed in. It was psychedelic. My vision was crazy, like everything was 30 FPS and I could see an after image of my hand when I moved it. So at this point, there was no way I was doing anything else, so we went upstairs to our room and just started doing the randomest stuff, like inspecting objects, looking at the ceiling, munching. But the one thing I did that I don't recommend doing at this stage was looking in the damn mirror. It was crazy. I was not moving in sync with myself and I felt like the mirror version of me was from the other side, like Stranger Things or some shit. After like 30 minutes of doing things, we got really tired. Just standing up and functioning had become an immeasurably difficult task. So even though it was only 9 PM, we decided to call it a day. But I couldn't sleep. These 2 monster cookies got me overthinking everything. Laying on the bed, eyes wide open like, bro, what if that really was the Stranger Things version of me? What if he's waiting for me to fall asleep? I don't want to go to the shitty other side. I know any plugs there. Where am I gonna get my weed? And when I finally did try to close my eyes, I started tripping way out. Half asleep, half awake, seeing these vivid dreams. Thankfully, at some point I did fall asleep. And not just any sleep, I went into freaking hibernation, cause I was out cold for a calm 16 hours. So I'd say lesson of the story is, if it's your first time doing edibles, wait like at least 2 hours before you proclaim the classic, these edibles ain't shit.
The 5 levels of being high. Now, I bet you've seen a couple videos on this topic, maybe even mine, but since almost a year has passed and my knowledge and understanding of the magic green plant has grown tremendously, I thought it's about time to make the ultimate, definitive, most precise levels of high tier list on planet Earth. And to make it even more fun, for every level, I'ma be getting more high to give an accurate representation of what the level feels and sounds like. So let's get it started with Level 1. Microdosed. This is the level where you don't really feel anything per se, but you can tell something is different. You have a slight mood boost and your body might feel a bit more elevated. So like if your legs were sore, they'd probably be more sore now, but if you're lying on your bed, well, its comfortability is probably up about by 10 to 15%. Nothing crazy, but it is noticeable. This, however, isn't enough to give you the giggles. So that Amy Schumer comedy special will still leave you wondering if my vagina is actually comedy or just poorly done
fun slapstick humor. And since I'm currently at this level, I can tell you it also has no negative side effects, so I can still do everything without worrying if I'm too high. Anyway, let's move on to the first exciting level, and that is level 2. I'm feeling it. So you're feeling it, eh? Well, me too. This is the level where that Amy Schumer special might actually forcefully steal a giggle or two from you, but not because it's actually funny, it's more like you're laughing at her rather than with her. Anyway, since you're now feeling it, you also might be feeling that movie a bit more, or that video game. Shit, you might be feeling your own jokes a bit more. Got you laughing at your own thoughts, fool. This is also the optimal high if you still got stuff to do. Well, to be honest, if you got stuff to do, probably better to not be high, but at this level, it's still definitely doable, just a bit more difficult. Another way to look at it is, this is the high the workers at Subway are usually on. Although I have seen mofos way beyond this there too, but for the most part, this is optimal cause the loud hasn't got you moving slow-mo quite yet. As for me, I'm still able to read this script and pronounce my words just fine, so you probably can't even tell I'm high right now. But now it's time to get to the first level where a mofo can feel too high if he's not experienced. 10,000 BC, a group of cavemen in the Oki Islands of Japan needed some warmth and wanted to start a fire when they discovered a funny looking green plant, and either out of curiosity or desperation took it and inadvertently created history's first ever hotbox. Yet this early grass was not that loud that people be smoking today, because as we know, over the years the za has been scientifically and artificially cultivated to be much more concentrated in the high it gives. So although it is funny to think about a group of cavemen purposely starting a fire in a small shelter for the sole purpose of getting faded in a hoe, it is unlikely that it actually ever happened. Yet aside from this iffy recreational stint in Japan, hemp was first commonly used in the lands that are modern day Mongolia and China for more practical uses like eating it. Which, after saying that, you might be imagining something like this. Yo, what's up? How you doing? Had any fun with those new seeds I gave you?
Yo, nah, I actually came here to give them back. Last night I was looking at the moon and I swear that motherfucker was looking right back at me.
But alas, this probably wasn't the reality because the THC levels in this early cultivated Zaza were just really low, but soon the Chinese would discover that the holy plant's fibers were also great for making stuff too, like clothes, paper, and bowstrings. Which turns out hemp fibers were superior to the bamboo ones used by rivaling factions, allowing the Chinese to shoot their arrows much further. So basically, back in the day, if you were having a long distance bow battle and were losing, you might have screamed out, "We need to get closer! These motherfuckers have weed!" Anyway, it wasn't long after when mofos realized that the loud wasn't only good for making stuff, it was also great for treating physical maladies. And after a couple thousand years, Emperor Shen Nung, known as the father of Chinese medicine, included the magic plant in his medical encyclopedia under the name Ma. Which, that sounds oddly similar to Za, doesn't it? I'm guessing every couple thousand years the first letter changes or something. But now, let's explore the question we're all asking. When exactly did mofos start ripping that shit to get faded? Well, one of the earliest counts is about 2,500 years ago, when researchers discovered 10 mini barbecues in a cemetery near modern-day Tajikistan that had residue of burnt cannabis with a much higher concentration of THC than normal, probably meaning it was selectively bred to get you, well, lit. Although this was one of the first counts of people purposely inhaling the broccoli to get high, it was most likely used as part of a ritual to invoke an altered state of mind, so you could communicate with spirits. Which shit, dog, I wanna know what these dudes were smoking, cause I ain't never heard of no grass that gets you to the spirit realm. This might have low-key been the last kush Snoop Dogg smoked, cause once you get so high you start communicating with your dead gran-gran, that's when you really might be like, okay, I think it's about time I stop smoking this shit. Since cannabis, for one reason or another, proved to be quite the useful plant, people started trading it around the world as soon as it was domesticated. Which the only people who didn't really fuck with the Zaza were Europeans, who preferred getting hammered instead. Which is low-key reflected in modern times too, especially in the northern countries where once you turn 18, you can drink as much poison as you want, but if you want to blaze, well, you might be looking at a little bit of jail time, my boy. But now, let's quickly go over the uses of cannabis throughout different cultures, so we can move on to the modern age, starting with Hindus. They made something called Bang, an edible cannabis paste that had medicinal properties, but also got you high. This could be added to a variety of foods and drinks, which this Bang was the preferred food of the Hindu god Shiva, making him in my eyes the god of edibles.
Disclaimer, that was a joke.
Islam. Here the Za was called hashish and was introduced about 1,000 years ago, which hashish wasn't strictly forbidden in the Quran at first, so a lot of Muslims ate it for its medicinal and relaxation properties. But later, Egypt basically banned it, and also the Quran was revisited by many and reinterpreted to include hashish to be banned just like alcohol. The Vikings. These dudes basically used the Za to make rope, sailcloth, and other things, but also for its medicinal properties, mostly to relieve pain, and to date there's no hard evidence that they consumed it for its recreational use, but you know, maybe they should have, because they were quite the horrendous savages and murderers, so it might have made them think a little bit about peace and love. But what about America, England, and the actual global world powers? How did they react to weed? Well, again, like the Chinese, Europeans and Americans at first prominently used the magic green plant in the 16th to 18th century for more practical things like making sailcloth and rope, which the plant itself grew much larger in the New World soil, and combined with the practicality of it, everything started being hemp-derived. Clothes, paper, well, basically anything that required fibers. But the question still remains, when did mofos start smoking that shit to get blasted on the regular? Cause although at some point you, your neighbor, your grandma, your boss, and even George Washington were out here growing weed, wasn't nobody out here rolling them up. Well, until the arrival of Mexicans. The loud version of hemp first arrived in Brazil in the early 1500s by way of enslaved Africans traveling with the Portuguese. And the native South Americans, who are already consuming some other psychoactive substances, quickly started blazing the Zaza too, and its use soon spread across South America and into Mexico, from which in the 1910s is when the loud first spread into the US, via Mexican immigrants escaping the effects of the Mexican Revolution. And almost immediately the good was viewed as a threat, and by 1931, 29 states had banned its use. Although it wasn't really the Zaza that the US didn't fall with, it was unfortunately mostly just racism against Mexican Americans and black citizens of the South, which both these groups were enjoyers of the Za to some regard, so it became a scapegoat for racial bias in the US, and they blamed it for everything from petty crimes all the way to murder. And in 1937, the US completely banned all non-medical use of weed, which all of this kind of explains why the mostly peaceful plant has been thrown in the same Schedule 1 category with full-on life-destroying substances like heroin and cocaine. But thankfully, a couple decades later came the hippie movement of the 1960s to 1970s. This is what likely sparked the comeback for weed, cause unlike before, when the Zaza was mostly smoked by Mexican immigrants and black citizens who the US was massively racist against, the hippie movement had middle-class white American youth start blazing too. Which it was all about love, peace, spirituality, non-violence, and of course, every hippie's favorite, recreational drug use. Although most hippies were all about peace and love, that was quite easy to say when most of them were literally privileged enough to drop out of college, run off with Cassandra in a rainbow van, go on copious amounts of mindset-altering trips, mostly powered by LSD, and then return 10 years later to their parents and have them say,
"It's okay, son. I was young and stupid once too."
Anyway, although the grass was still federally illegal, this didn't really do much, cause in 1976, 1 in 8 Americans over the age of 12 admitted to smoking it in the past 30 days. Hippies though were especially interested in cannabis, so much so they went on something called the Hippie Trail, which was basically an excursion by the youths of the world to go over to the Middle East and India, all while riding in magic buses and discovering new ways to get absolutely blasted, such as smoking the concentrated Zaza resin known as hash. But acquiring the Zaza would soon get much harder, because you see, most of it came from Mexico, so in 1969 the US started patrolling the border, and in 1975 they got even more aggressive and started spraying herbicide on Mexican weed plants. And so good old supply and demand made grass prices skyrocket, which a lot of people started then growing the plant themselves in mini greenhouses, closets, bathtubs, storage units, basements, wherever they could. But then in 1982, Mr. Smarty Pants Ronald Reagan took it even a step further by encouraging the streamlined arrest of anyone in possession of an illegal substance, which was really dumb because most of the focus was on pot, all while crack, meth, and heroin were all still being transported and consumed on a regular basis. Even worse, this enforcement seemed to be racially motivated because despite plenty of traffickers and consumers being white, the majority of arrests were Latino and black youths, all while this bizarre over-focus on cannabis allowed the growing opioid epidemic to go unchecked. But thankfully, the US is slowly learning from their mistakes, where today 24 states have legalized the recreational use of marijuana. On top of that, the increased level of research on it has also found multiple medical use cases and can be prescribed to you by special doctors if seen fit. And although the Zaza is still federally illegal and a Schedule 1 drug, the overall perception of it has changed for the better, including in December 2022 when President Biden signed a bill to make it easier for researchers to obtain plants for their studies, which will hopefully accelerate the learning of positive and negative side effects of consuming the ZA even further. But all that aside, the overall vibe towards the loud has gotten a lot more accepting, and these days more and more people view the smoking of the grass not as you being a junkie, but the same way as having a couple beers with the homies on a Friday night and watching some WWE. Socializing high. You ever tried holding a conversation while being blasted? It usually ends up being a mixture of trying to remember what the other guy said whilst analyzing the little bit of details that did manage to penetrate into your mind. Just recently, I had a guy come up to me at the store like,
should I get the spicy ones or the cheesy ones? Hey bro, what you doing at Walmart? Who is this guy? Ah, yeah, we met at that party a month ago. Oh yeah, I should say something. Yeah bro, just chilling.
Just chilling at Walmart?
That's cool that you can just
what does
chill
that
like
even
that.
mean?
My mom just
Should
died
I say
yesterday
something to
and
add to
I don't
it?
know where to go.
No, it's too long
I'm gonna
already.
be homeless soon.
Wait, what's this guy talking about?
So yeah, just been really sad because of that lately.
Yeah man, I get you. But don't worry, cause there's always a bright side at the end of the tunnel, man.
Bright side at the end of the tunnel? My mom just died and I'm gonna be homeless now, so I don't know about that, man.
I'm sorry, bro. I didn't know.
But I just told you 10 seconds ago.
Okay, see you, bro. Hope things get better soon. What was that guy talking about?
I don't know. I think I'll take the spicy Doritos.
It's even worse when you blast it onto Mars with a spaceship type of high. Cause I swear, I be getting memory wiped every 5 seconds. Like, I don't want to be mean or anything, but please understand, if you don't get your point across in 5 seconds or less, I'm gonna be right back to thinking about that one meme on Reddit I saw 2 weeks ago.
Bro, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I finally got it. The secret to making endless money is... And that's all you gotta do.
Wait, sorry bro, I'm kind of faded than a hoe out here right now, so you said the secret to making endless dough was... Yeah man, what I was basically saying was that all you gotta do is start a business involving... So yeah man, I can help you get started. I've already quit my job and moved to Dubai. You can join me.
Move to Dubai? What's this guy on about? I think I'm just gonna leave. So bro, what you think? You ready to get rich?
Nah man, I don't think that's gonna work. Now, excuse me, I'm gonna go take a shit.
It's not all bad though. You gotta love it when you see a homie at the store who's also blasted to the moon. The Zaza makes you connected on a multiversal level like,
hey bro, what you doing?
Nothing, chilling. Funny you say that. I would have answered the exact same way if you asked me that question. Sorry man, I'm faded than a hoe right now, and I just got hit with that memory wipe, so what you say again?
Oh shit, you high too?
Duh, I'm at the store, what else would I be?
For sure, you tryna hit up that candy section though?
Damn dog, you read my mind.
Unfortunately, social situations can be pretty tough if you're not an experienced blazer, especially if you're talking to people you want to leave a good impression on. But remember, if you're ever in irreversible trouble and you have no idea what to respond, just say,
"That's crazy, bruh, but I'm way too faded right now." I'm sorry, I don't think I quite understand.
I said that I'm faded than a hoe up in this bit.
No, Charles, you're fired.
We've all had a bad high before, and for some of us, we've had many. But what if I told you, you don't even know what that means?
At least before you hear about the day I almost died while bugging off the Zaza. I woke up happier than usual because it was a special day. To be exact, it was my special day. My birthday. And I had planned a great celebration in my name. I was going to get wasted in my hometown with my old school friends. Because, well, I hadn't seen him in a long time, and I mean, I was turning 18, so you know your boy had to throw a killer party. Okay, to be honest, the party was pretty lame, cause my friends were either soy boys in a relationship or just plain gay, cause I told them multiple times, bring some hoes. The problem was, I had lost all my female connections in the area over the 2 years I was away, and they knew this. So how you gonna pull up to the party knowing your boy is back from the gulag and it's his birthday talking about,
bro, where the hoes at? This party lame as hell.
Bitch, I told you bring the hose, any hose, yet you come here with a 6-pack and a vape. What you talking about where the hose at? Look in the mirror, fool. You the hoe. You the hoe. Anyway, so we're just chilling at my lame party when my boy Ricky hits me up like,
hey bro, I saw you in town again. Wanna smoke some gas?
And even though I do have an obligation to stay at my own birthday function, I decided to disband.
Hey, everybody, thank you all for coming, but I'm gonna have to wrap this party up cause it's getting kinda late.
Bro, it's 11 p.m. Party's just starting. Let's drink some more beers, eh?
Hey, it's only 11 p.m. Hey, let's drink some more beers.
Get the fuck out of my house, Charles.
So I get these soy boys out my house. Like, sorry, but if you can't even muster one single female on a 2-week notice to come to a house party, are you really even a man? But yeah, so here I am, half drunk, walking to the European version of 7-Eleven when I get a text from my boy Ricky.
Hey man, you wanna come roll with us on this drop-off? We can blaze up in the car on the way there.
And I don't really want to get involved with any dealings of illegal substances, but like, I was pretty much at the 7-Eleven already and really wanted to get lit. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I get to the parking lot and I see the most rusty ricer stolen from the junkyard looking car, blasting gangster rap from the speakers like it was a 50 Cent concert. I jump in the car and see my boy Ricky, but also 2 of my friends from elementary school. They discussing this business whilst me and Ricky blazing in the back, when I noticed the driver seems kind of off. So I asked Ricky, hey bro, is that man good? Seems a little off.
Yeah, no, he good. Just had a couple beers.
Bruh. So I just found out that the driver is a teensy bit drunk. But I'm already here and we're blazing, so what am I gonna do, leave? It was about 10 minutes of chatting and smoking when the time came to roll out. And bro, when I say this car was the biggest piece of shit that has ever grazed public roads, I'm not exaggerating. The freaking bottom of the car was vibrating and shaking so much, it felt like we was having an earthquake. And on top of it, the engine was making these clunking noises, and the exhaust was spitting fumes like it was 1920. Even though I was high as a kite, it wasn't just the Zaza making me paranoid, because this guy was driving like he was on a NASCAR track. But the one thing he did constantly that got me praying to our Lord and Savior was taking every corner and curb on the opposite side of traffic. Even though we lived in a small town and it was midnight, if even just one car would have been on those dark and twisty roads that day, it would have meant certain death for all of us. You know those moments where you're like, oh Lord, please, I will never hang out with these thugs again and I will never smoke the good. Just save me from this death. That was me, but like times 10 at least. Anyway, what felt like an eternity of driving, we got to the drop-off, and it was just some more wannabe thug gangsters interacting with our group of wannabe thug gangsters. That interaction took about 10 minutes until we started driving back, and I was just praying the whole way to whoever would listen. Gandhi, Buddha, Michael Jackson, Pop Smoke, Jiraiya, anybody and everybody. Somehow we got back in one piece. Can't say the same words about the car though, cause when we pulled up to the 7-Eleven again and he turned it off, it made a weird noise. So he tried activating the shit box again and it wouldn't. So yeah, sucks for him I guess. So I say my goodbyes to the top thug gangsters of my hometown, and all I can think about is, bro, what the hell happened to my old homies? Everybody's either a soy boy or a drug dealer, no in between. Guess the moral of the story is,
chase your dreams, I guess. Oh, and don't go into cars that look like they were last maintenanced in 1955, cause there's a good chance that this'll happen.